Look at my waist, this is unedited. Look at my face, bet you wanna look like me. Look at my wrist, I'm not tryna flex, but look at my whip, better get your check up. In my life, I've never felt sadness. I pose like 9 times on average. I wish I didn't have to lie for you, for me, the mess I was. Depressed, I was depressed, I was depressed, 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 I was depressed, I was depressed.
What's up, guys? I played that intro because it's gonna go along into what we're talking about. If you guys watch or know Coco Jones, she used to be a Disney child star, and she talks about Hollywood and their unrealistic expectations for Black women, and how a lot of them feel the need to change because of the industry. Um, we're gonna be talking about Little Kim, K. Michelle. I know a lot of other Black women, especially popular ones, that have had some sort of plastic surgery. In no shape, way, or form is this bashing them. This is us having a open dialogue behind what's actually going on, because I don't think too many people are having that conversation of why. Why are they doing this? Now I got accused of being self-hating because I don't want to blame white people for the situation that we're in, which is absurd. Um, I put this picture up of K. Michelle the other day. Where's it at? K. Michelle looks completely different. I know a lot of people know who she is. She's a dope singer. Can't take that from her. I love her voice. I've listened to her music growing up. I'm gonna pull up a photo of her, but this is her on the left here. This is what she looked like before she decided to go ahead and just completely alter her face, which is on the right. I personally think that this is self-hatred, because you completely changed what God created you as, and you changed it to what you think you should look like, which goes into my other theory that Black women, and we're specifically talking about Black women, so don't you dare come in this chat. Well, white women do it too. I know. All right. But this is not what this conversation is about. We're talking about Black women and their perspectives. I think they do it for themselves. Now, I'm going to let you guys give your commentary on it. DC, I think Black women are doing this for themselves. There's no way you're doing it for a man. If, like, did you think she was ugly before? I don't even remember people talking about her.
Yeah, I don't think she was ugly before. She was natural, but it's all a part of this push to conform, just conform to the greater society. You know, and there's just this unobtainable, just unrealistic standard of beauty that so many are trying to obtain, and they're messing themselves up. And Lil Kim is the perfect example of that, because it forms an addiction, and you become addicted to this idea of what you should look like. And it's like, anybody who's ever smoked weed or done drugs or something like that, like it's like chasing that first high. You're always chasing that first high that you ever had, and that's what they're chasing. They're chasing the standard that's just. I mean, well, I guess it is obtainable, if they got the surgery to do it. But does it fix what's hurting inside or what's missing inside? That identity, that crisis, in general within the black community. Does
Mhm.
it solve those issues? And I don't think it does.
Facts. What you got for us, Eric?
Yeah, I'm just not. We were kind of talking backstage a little bit. I'm not a fan of plastic surgery as a general rule. I think there's definitely something to be said about trying to keep yourself youthful, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But I live down here in LA area, and it's hard to it's particularly down here in Orange County where I spend most of my time. Man, you can walk up and down the street and see 7 women that you could easily mistake a mugshot for looking the same within 15, 20 minutes. So I just think it's sad. It's one of those things where I think, DC's really touched on it, which is what was wrong with her before. I think, what men perceive to be attractive has a lot more to do with how you carry yourself, how you project yourself out to the world, what your goals and attributions to the world are,
Mhm.
much more than it is. I mean, physically, people, a lot of times people put a lot of weight in that basket, and then end up marrying somebody that doesn't look like anything that they've, prototypically, spent time talking about. And that's
Yeah.
because it's not necessarily an attraction. I mean, that is an important part of every relationship, but when you go changing your whole life up, your whole face up, your whole body up, um, I want to ask you more questions about why is it you didn't like what you were
Mhm.
before? Because there is beauty in the eye of the beholder, and if you can't
Yeah.
love yourself, how do you expect others to love you?
So I decided to go and watch her old interviews talking about K Michelle. I wanted to go back and watch her old interview, and she did one with V103 Atlanta. That's a popular radio station. And she said something that stood out to me. And I'm going to play a small portion of it, but she has this thought process that all men are bad. And she's talking. There's two men there, and they're kind of looking at her sideways. And even the female host, I got to give it to her. Her name is Jade Nova. I have grown a new respect for her because she was like, "Oh, I don't think let's not say all men. Maybe it's just the men that you're dealing with." And she said something that like really piqued my interest. She was like, "Well, I like hood men," and I'm like, "There's your issue right there. How are you expecting to have a really good broad view of men if you only deal with one type, which is a hood man? Like, can anybody tell me what good comes out of dealing with those type of men? I, I ain't never really dealt with one, so I personally don't get it. It's not appealing. You're getting cheated on, you're being disrespected. You don't feel like they love you, but you continue to mess with the same dude, and then all men are bad. And this is one of the biggest reasons that she changed her image. Well, this is what the industry wants. It's like we all said, well, this is what men want. And it's like, what men are you talking to? Like, who told you that?
So I think there's definitely room to talk about the quick and easy, fast Barbie mentality that men have. I think we've all
Mhm.
got to some degree. Like, I'm not going to sit here and spout lies about it. Like,
Yeah.
you see somebody that's got the right figure, but that's Mrs. Right now,
Mhm.
not Mrs. Right, right? So that's the distinction I guess I'm trying to draw here. Is I'm not saying plastic surgery is bad. Like I said, staying youthful, trying to maintain your health and body. Those are okay things, but
Right.
um, completely changing your identity. This kind of again falls into this same area for me, as being a transsexual and going through that surgery. It's very unintuitive of how to solve a problem. You don't typically start with changing the physical appearance. That might be where you end, but
Right. And I don't know, like this is like it's not even a touchy subject for me, but I'm very kind of just blunt with it. Like, there is somebody for everybody. Okay. And not everybody is going to be the most attractive. Like, it just is what it is. There are going to be some people that just like aren't pleasing to your eye. But that's okay. Doesn't mean that you have to go alter yourself. And then
Even
somebody told me, well, you could say that because you have pretty privilege. And it's like, okay, so I should feel bad because I'm attractive and you're not. I don't understand.
even when you change your appearance, there will still people who won't find you attractive. Like, you're not
Exactly.
gonna be able to please everybody. And like I said, it's just chasing something that's just unrealistic, just wholly unrealistic.
Yeah. If you guys notice, I'm actually live on Facebook. I went
what?
hard at them for like 3 days, 3 days straight. And I'm like, listen, I ain't did nothing. I reached out to
Tell
Project
me where.
Veritage. I'm on SUNY Blanks right now as we speak. Isn't that crazy?
I'm looking. I'm gonna look. Thank you, Lion.
I was shocked too. I'm like, I could go live. What?
Oh, look at that.
I tried to follow the page, but I'm restricted right now. They haven't told me why. They haven't told me
Wow.
what post or anything. They haven't told me how long. I'm
That's
just banned right
crazy.
now. It's ridiculous.
Let me play this video. I don't even know if I shared the audio. I don't like StreamYards. I swear. It's like an extra step that you don't want to take. And you don't even do it on purpose. Here it is. Okay.
It's cool. We cheating. I went back.
Yeah.
Well, did you get checked? Friend.
Listen, you know what they say about Atlanta?
What?
It's a city where everybody sleeps with somebody that you know already.
Yeah. Is that like on a bumper sticker or something where you read that?
That's Atlanta.
Yeah. I
Everybody
believe
you
that.
slept with has slept with somebody that you probably know.
That makes
That's
my
what they
head
say about
hurt.
Atlanta.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I do.
But you know what? Can I say something real quick? Can I just pause and go back? So when we were talking about you coming into the studio and we were talking about you, I try to sometimes look at the person and see who they are and where they are and as they go through their thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're a woman that has really struggled with who you are for a long time. Because listen, this is what you said. You said, I like to come out with my songs, but I want to come out with something hood first and then I start singing.
Mm-hmm. I
But
gotta do what I gotta do.
you are a trained singer.
Yes. Look.
So it's not necessarily that
Yo.
you need to do the hood thing.
No.
But you do it because that's part of who you are.
Yeah.
And that's part of this battle inside, right? So you're an extremely intelligent woman.
Thank you.
You were supposed to go to law school and you didn't.
You
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yo, daddy
so
a
it's like,
professor.
it's like, you get what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like this battle going on
I have a
inside
real
of you
battle.
forever.
I still have a battle. Even to this day, with being more comforted by who I am. Like for so long, like I was already curvy, right? And I wanted more, and I thought that would make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So I got more, and I just got heavy. You know what I'm saying? Heavier,
like mentally.
Yeah, heavier.
Yeah.
everything, and that didn't make it feel better. You know what I'm saying? It really didn't. So I'm like, who am I? There are times when K. Michelle, I'm from Memphis. Yeah, I'm hood. I got that. That's me. But there are also times I know how to speak. I know how to handle myself in rooms, and I know how to do business.
You see, the thing is, that's part of your struggle because you're not hood. You're a product of the hood.
Okay,
but
there
you
it
are
is.
hood.
There it
But
is.
you keep trying to go back to that product
I try to help
where the
them.
outside is trying to call you out.
So I wanted to play that specific part. She mentioned a little bit about her plastic surgery. She gets more into it, and I'll pull this back up at some point in the show, but she gets more into why she got the plastic surgery. She said a few things here that it just really piqued my interest. I'm trying to help them. So by helping the Black community, you act just like the people you're trying to help. This is literally the thought process. I wanted to make myself feel better. I was already curvy, but I wanted to be curvier, and it didn't help me. She got sick as a dog because she was putting all types of stuff in her body. I had to sit down completely. Okay? And then you just completely altered yourself again. This is a battle that a lot of us deal within the Black community. And I know other folks deal with it, but we're not talking about other folks right now. We're specifically talking about the Black community. What'd you guys take from it? What'd you think of that clip, DC? What'd you think?
Like you said, it's a battle. It's 100% a battle, and I think the main part of the battle is between, coping with who we are, trying to find an identity in who we are, and like she said trying to help or whatever, help the hood and things like that. But it's I don't know how to put it. It's just crazy. It's just mind-boggling to me that we allow these things to happen. Like we do this to ourselves. We fight so hard to conform, to be like everything around us. Like she changed herself and she doesn't look like K. Michelle anymore. She looks like every other person you see on Instagram. Like that's a face I've seen 1,000 times before on Instagram. So it's a battle with self-identity, personally and within the culture as a whole. And it's destructive. It's highly destructive physically and mentally. And she acknowledged that. But, it's a disease. It's an actual disease. It's an actual battle. So just because she acknowledged it doesn't mean she won that war, won that battle. She's still continuing to fight it. And obviously she gave in. And, many of us are battling things like that we continue to give into. So I actually, have empathy for her. I empathize.
Right.
So
What do you think,
one
Aaron?
of the things I noticed that the interviewer, I don't know his name is, but he said was he made a point of saying it. I think a couple of different times. He said, "So you're not, you're not, you're not of the hood. You're a product of the hood."
Yep.
And the reason that bothers me is because I think it contributes to the mentality of, you've come from someplace and therefore now you've arrived, and so now you need to change the way you look, think, act, appear, in order to appease what is sensationalized in the culture as making it.
Mhm.
I that like really struck a chord for me when I heard him kind of repeating that every time she would kind of take it to the mental health conversation. He would say, "No, you're a product of the hood." Like this, like it's some sort of explanation for the struggle that she's dealing with, and I think it simplifies it far too much. And it doesn't actually give any clarity what she's really dealing with, kind of what DC talked about, which is this dysmorphia of
Yeah,
sorts. So I
absolutely.
just want to say that was really weird to hear the man of the conversation comparing her basically to a commodity that
Mhm.
requires her to look a certain way after some level of undefined success. It was really weird.
I mean, I agree with you. I think this is the issue, or one of the many issues, from our community. We don't know how to talk. And when I say talk, it's not like you can't talk to me. We don't know how to be articulate with our words and say exactly what we mean, and then everybody can understand it. And another issue is folks don't really understand when you articulate yourself. They get frustrated because they don't understand you. I know Black people that are like, "Why are you talking to me like I'm stupid?" And I was the same way. I would get really defensive in a conversation where you could be trying to tell me something that's helpful to me, but because I don't understand it and I feel like you're talking to me with big words, you're saying something that I don't get, I'm automatically on the defense and I don't want to listen to nothing else you have to say.
And that has a lot to do with power and control, because one thing about our community is there's a complete rejection to any kind of authority. So if you
Mhm.
come, there's this mentality, if you're telling me something that that refutes my beliefs or something that I wasn't privy to before, that puts you in a position of an authority over that
Mhm.
subject, and people reject that because of that fact. And that's why there's so many issues with parenting, with law enforcement, in the schools, because it's a rejection of authority and it's a hindrance. It's a 100%
Yeah.
of 100% of a hindrance to our progress.
Facts.
Is
Michael
that so? Like
Jackson
I'm
had
gonna.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Oh,
I was
okay.
just gonna
I'll
ask,
just
like,
touch
when
on
I
it.
was young, like one of the things that was a heated discussion between my father and I is when I was young, I used to have, super long hair, um, you know, rock to the hippie look for a long time. I need a haircut now, by the way. But um, point being is that was a huge topic of contention when I was young. Not that it's exactly the same, but DC, is that kind of what you're hitting on, which is like this, because I kept my hair long for much longer than I probably would have, just for the fact of like, you're not getting your win here today, right? And so are you kind of talking to those eccentric features being kind of the buck against?
Exactly. Like
Is that kind of what you're getting at? Is just kind of it's pervasive throughout the longevity of the culture rather than just kind of those teenage years specifically.
exactly. Because my dad, he used to always tell me, and it's one thing that stuck with me. He said, you're gonna mine one way or another. You're either gonna mine now or you're gonna mine somebody in somebody's prisons, but you're gonna mine somebody. And
Yeah.
so that's exactly right. And I hate to say it, but there's a childish mentality. Like, you grew from that. You know what I'm saying? You grew from that. Um, and that goes that's the same thing as it goes with like promiscuity and things like that. Those are childish behaviors, and we don't grow from that. We become stuck in our ways, and we chase this thing for so long, and that's within the culture. Like, that's a part of the culture. That's not a part of teenage years or younger years, and we eventually grow out of. Like, I have friends now that are still doing the same things we used to do when we were, kids, and
Yep.
that it's a shame.
It is. Guys, do me a favor. Share this on Facebook since I am able to go live. And please make sure the likes match the live viewers, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube. Make sure the likes match up with the live viewers because that'll trick the system to throw us into the algorithm and more people can see this conversation. But I honestly think more young Black men and women need to hear this. Young Black men are only reacting and going after what you've put in front of them. Like, if we could just keep it a ban. I'm going to play another portion of the interview where she essentially puts blame on men when it's like, at what point do you say, okay, well, I wanted to do this because I thought this is what men wanted, but now I can see that that's probably not what they want. So, girls, don't go out here and alter your appearance. This was probably the craziest part of the interview for me.
New TV show on Lifetime. My first show I'm producing, and it's helping women get silicone out of their body. I'm paying $200,000 a pop, the network, to help these women. And you should hear the stories, all because of a man.
Wow.
All because a teacher, school teacher, she can't even walk. Her husband made her get a bigger butt.
Her husband
and left her
made her
for a younger woman, and now she hitting me because she don't want to die and got a child, a 3-year-old child. Like, how could I possibly, if I'm hearing women coming to me, how could I possibly think that it's better men out there? I don't believe it.
So you believe a lot of the self-esteem issues in these women are, and for you even, are coming from men and their perception of what they want us to be as Black women?
How we supposed to look. Now they want to date outside the race and make you feel like that, like you need some curly hair or you need to do something. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
It couldn't possibly be maybe just your attitude. It couldn't possibly be like you're not nice. It always has to do with some attribute. You're light skinned, you got curly hair, you're this, you're that. It can't possibly be just because of you. Like, you. I just had to throw that in there.
Say the men that say, well, nobody told you to get implants, and what you do.
No, they don't have to say it. It's in your actions. It's in your, ways. It's what I see.
The preference.
It's what you see. So you look at that, you want that type of dude, you want that type of, attraction, then you do things like that. Sometimes people do it for themselves. But I did it at first because I already had butt.
Yeah,
I just wanted some more.
So was there a trigger point? You spoke about the strong male figures that you had in your life. Was there like one point in time as you got older that made you have that self-esteem issue where you wanted to alter your body?
I think it was the industry. I think it was just, I was entering that business. Like, I had got my first record deal. And I said, I'm not going to sign this record deal because I was so insecure I didn't have any boobs. So I was like, I'm not going to sign this record deal until you guys give me boobs and teeth. That's what it started with, I got to be prepared to stand up there next to my favorites.
So that pressure wasn't from the label. That was you.
Yeah.
Did you hear what she said? Oh, this is why I said it is us. I have to look like Beyonce. I have to look like Kim Kardashian. I have to look like all these other women.
And the thing about
I was going to say that's super interesting to me because instead of she blamed it on both men and then the industry's women at the same time. And one thing I didn't hear her say was, I went and asked a bunch of men that I was interested in being with about what they wanted, and then tried to become that.
That's exactly a part of what I was about to say. Like, it's just amazing to me that they're completely oblivious to the fact that there are men, black men at that, or just black people in general that live outside of the culture, that operate outside of the culture, but that's all they submerge themselves in, and that's all they see. So that's all they, strive to be and strive to conform to. They're just oblivious. That's why they can sit up there. She can sit up there and say there are no good men, or this is all men want. No, it's not. It's all the men that you surround yourself with, which is within that culture. And that's why she said once she got into the business, that's when she started wanting to change herself, because you're submerging yourself in that culture. So that's all you're going to see, and that's all they're going to want. And they're just oblivious to people like, everyday folks like us.
Facts.
It's a wacky push and pull too, because you have the same people driving the cultural standards or norms as the ones who are at the same time trying to separate and say these are bad and I don't like them and I want to break away from them. And so it's this really interesting intertwined argument that you have them setting the standard and then saying, I hate the standard.
Exactly.
That's confusing.
You just proved the biggest point I'm going to make tonight. Women control pop culture. I don't care what you say. Beyonce controls pop culture. If Beyonce's doing something, guess who's going to go do it? All the girls that came before her, the women that came after her, they're going to emulate it. Beyonce started with the long hair, the blonde long hair. And then what came after that? All these women wanting to wear the long blonde hair. It is not men. They are not doing this for men. If they were, there's two men on the screen. You would consult with men. Kevin Samuels says it all the time. I know a lot of women that are in the industry that don't even do this stuff, and they're successful without it because those are real authentic talents. Now she's a real authentic talent without all the stuff that she's doing. But because she's not happy, she's going the extra mile to do all this extra stuff.
I think it's interesting.
Tell me what man wants that?
Well, I think it's super important to remember, like, people are more concerned with how they look on a personal level than they ever will be from a picky standpoint for their other significant person. So, like, the way that you feel when you look in the mirror is much more dissected and much more compartmentalized than any person who ever looks at you on the beach or in the pool. Like, look, I'm a big guy. I go to the pool, take my shirt off. People see my beer belly. You know how many people actually give a shit? Like zero. I'd be with my wife. We'll be driving through Chick-fil-A. I get hit on by the Chick-fil-A chicks. Like, it's hilarious to me, but it is about a little bit how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I know we're kind of, speaking on one segment of culture specifically, but really these are applicable across the board. And it's so strange to me how this is kind of funneled so specifically into this group, and it's, just leeching through culture, through time, right?
I want Tiffany to come on here because I think it's hilarious when women tell men why they do what they do. I really do. Why can't it be because your attitude is shitty? And maybe a white person, a white woman, or a Latina woman doesn't have the shitty attitude like you do. I mean, that's why I wasn't interested in dating black men.
I can't speak for you, DC, but like, I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna look at my wife and be like, "Hey, can you go get them double D, implants?" Because that's what I really, that's what I'm really into. Like, that doesn't.
I don't know. What men are you asking? And if we're talking about the gender male or men, then you need to be specific, because my husband has never asked me to change anything about myself. He doesn't even like makeup.
I was gonna
If
say,
I were to,
so I'm gonna relate this to a conversation I had with my father-in-law. Um, my wife was pregnant at the time, and he was telling me a story about some dude who they wanted to adopt a kid. Anyways, they ended up getting pregnant, and then he left his wife because literally he couldn't deal with the way she looked. Her body looked after she was pregnant and gave birth, and it was kind of like a mind fuck for me, because I'm like, how can you not appreciate the person who just birthed your child and understand that those things, those scars have history that's important to you and to that person. Now, look, I mean, everybody feels about those things differently, but he was contrasting such a reality that I didn't understand, which is that person's such a shallow individual that they're looking that deep, that they don't want to be with somebody because they've had a baby. Like, I mean,
facts.
I don't know.
I look at it from the standpoint like it's only temporary. Like no matter who you are or how you look, you're not gonna look that way forever. One day you're gonna be old, wrinkly, and you're gonna be drooping everywhere. So once that happens, you're gonna have to deal with that person. You're gonna have to deal with who they are, and that should be the most important thing. I'm the same way with my wife. She doesn't wear makeup. If she does, it's very minimal. Um, is very minimal, and she does, when there's a major event like for our wedding, say for instance, she wears makeup and stuff like that. So and I appreciate that simplicity. I appreciate the fact that she's herself, that I see the same woman when I wake up and when when I go to sleep, and every moment in between. And so that's what they're truly looking for. They're looking for appreciation, and like you said, it's self-centered. It's all about them. They're looking for gratification, and they're looking for it in the wrong places.
And Mark said it. They're nicer. We're not nice as a group of women, okay? And I can say that because I was the same way. And it's not even because you're not a nice person. It's because you feel the need to be defensive. And we get that from our moms, because our moms take in so much hurt from an ain't shit dude, and then they transfer it over to their daughters. I can't tell you how many, as I got older, of course I'm married, like dudes in high school that I thought never paid attention to me, they're like, yo, I had the biggest crush on you. Or they're like, yo, damn, you're married. And they say that. Or I'm able to really hang out with guys more than females because they are so simple. It is cool to just like, yo, let's have a drink, play a game, watch football, watch basketball, and just kick it and talk. You don't do that with females because you're competing against me. You think I got something that you want, or my life looks good, and you have no clue what may be happening on the inside. It's just what you got looks good, so I'm just gonna judge you based on that and compete. I cannot hang out with girls. I've never been able to do so. Even at 30 years old, it's no different. It's like a popularity contest, clicks, cattiness, and it's over the most ridiculous stuff ever. I would never have. I probably have 3 or 4 girls that I really just rock with. They're not even girls, or women that I really rock with, that I can have around my husband, and I know it's love. How many can you do that with? And I know women in the chat can relate. I can't. I cannot hang out with girls.
It's something that strong women struggle with, because being a strong woman means you're not beholden to other people's standards a lot of times. And so I understand what you're saying, because there's my wife has a 0% patience for cattiness. She can't. She doesn't have the energy to deal with it. And I think a lot of it is rooted in the reality of she knows where that ends up. Like there's nobody gets uplifted by it. Nobody
Right.
feels better from it. And when you're dealing with that level of pettiness, there's that the competitive nature of those kinds of conversations they're not rewarding.
Tiffany, welcome to the stream.
Hey,
You
Hey
disagree.
Tiffany, what's up?
hey. Hold on.
What
Sorry,
did you
guys.
disagree with? Oh, just let me know when you're ready and we can start talking. So just put up a finger whenever you're ready.
All right, hold on.
Okay. We'll keep talking
Can
while
I
she's
add
doing
this
that.
too though?
Go
Is
ahead.
every man who kicks it with a female and the female has put out the friend signal, that man is probably secretly wishing he could date that woman. So
Yeah.
when women talk about good men being hard to find, I always laugh at that because I'm like, any woman who's got male friends could probably choose 3 out of the 5 that would happily give up whatever life they're living to try and be with them. So I just I want to add
that's
that in
facts.
because they're all around you for real.
That's
It's really good men who conform to what they
Yep.
view as manliness. They are hard to find, and that's because you're looking for the wrong type of man.
Yep.
Well, of course.
Throw them in the friend zone and you're like, I don't want that. But you go after the hood type. And then you wonder why your life is all messed up. Oh, accountability. Go ahead, Tiffany. What's up?
Hello, everyone.
No.
Hey
So,
Tiffany.
so my first thing is that yes, I don't think it's right that you should alter your body, but I understand why they do. Because, like obviously I'm black. My brother only dates white women, and yes, he said it was because of attitude, but he also likes the fact that she has long straight hair. Like his wife has long hair. She's skinny. She has no ass or titties, but that's their preference. And a lot of his friends date white women too, or Latinas. Because listen, Latinas have attitudes too. That's why most people consider them black, because they have attitudes. They act black or ghetto or whatever you want to say. But I would never tell my daughter to change her body, lighten her skin. Like I have a cousin, like I'm half Jamaican. She's darker than me, and she bought skin lightener and all that stuff because she was told that she's not pretty because she's dark skinned. She will never be a manager or be successful because she's dark skinned. So when someone is telling you that as a child growing up, that you would never be anything because you're dark skinned, of course your mentality is, okay, well, let me change that. And then you saw Michael Jackson. You see people that you look up to and you want to change them, you idolize them. There's people, like you guys said, that spend 50 tens and hundreds of $1,000s trying to look like Kim Kardashian. No one will ever look like Kim Kardashian but Kim Kardashian. But people want that image because that's what men are saying. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, she has her thick butt. She has the long hair. She has the small waist.
Okay.
So that's what people want to look like.
I want to ask you something. What man is saying that? Like,
Right.
what type of man is saying that? Because my husband's fine as hell. Okay, and he thinks he thinks the Kardashian sisters are ugly as shit. He says it all the time. Those girls are ugly.
I mean, obviously.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, obviously, a lot of people, even women, think they're beautiful. They have tons of followers. They have millions and billions of dollars. So obviously, they're doing something right.
I think that question was so spot on, and it has to deal with something I was gonna say. Is you talked about your attitude before. What made you change that?
Me?
Huh?
Me?
How much of it of your husband and his leadership had to do with that?
I'm gonna say like 70% of it was my husband.
Because like we said, I think there's a lack of leadership in the black community on the part of the man. We need to lead these women into being confident in themselves, being confident in their own skin, and we're just not doing it. We're we're placing all these standards upon them and things like that, and that's leading to exactly what we see. So I think there's a lot of blame to go around, and I always say, and I will never not say that it starts with the man. It starts with men, especially in the Black community, because we see what it does to have such a lack of manly leadership.
Yeah.
Now,
It
what about
definitely.
Kyrie Irving? Everybody knows who Kyrie Irving is. He's a successful black man, but would never date a black woman. He
What's his
said
reason
that,
though?
and he said he won't date black men. Black women. He said what his type is.
What was his
So
reason? Like, what reason did he give?
he said he's just not. The only thing he said was what I heard, that he's just not attracted to dark skinned women. But
I'm
he's
not
not
attracted.
attracted to his culture, his people, black women. That's what he said.
Well, I mean, we had
Is
this
there?
conversation. I
Yeah. I
remember
mean, is it
not too
preferences
long
matter?
ago, and I'm not attracted to dark skinned men, and I'm a chocolate woman. It's not that I don't like my own kind. You have a preference. Like, it's not that it's not appealing. Like, ew, you're ugly. You're just not attracted to it. Like,
But
what's?
then,
Tiffany,
Go
can
ahead.
I
I'm sorry.
ask what is it? What is it about Kyrie Irving saying, I'm into this specific type of women? What is it that about that? It seems like it frustrates you. I'm just curious.
absolutely.
What is it? Huh?
I said absolutely.
What is it about that frustrates you exactly? I'm trying to understand more clearly.
Because it makes black women feel like we're not good enough. So why aren't you attracted to your own kind?
So, I think I hear what you're saying. I disagree. I think what Kyrie Irving is probably saying, and again, I'm putting words in his mouth. I don't know how he feels about this. So,
Mm-hmm.
we all have preferences when it comes to the way that we want our partner to look. I think I touched on this much earlier in the show, maybe before you jumped in a little bit, which was people that are that superficial to that level where they can't see beyond just specific ethnic traits or physical traits. That's not an emotionally mature person. Now, having preferences doesn't mean that you're emotionally immature. And I think that that's where I guess I would challenge a little bit. I think what it sounds like when you say it frustrates me is what it sounds like it's saying is I'm frustrated that Kyrie Irving wouldn't date a woman that looks like me. And
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't know any celebrities that are looking for an Eric. So I hear what you're saying, but it feels like you've taken it personally. And I don't think that that's what he's meaning it to be. It doesn't sound like it's a personal, like, oh, I don't want to date black women because they have some sort of problem. It sounds like he has a sexual preference, and that's high on his priority list.
Yeah, and it's so
Does that
superficial.
kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's so superficial. Like, people are attracted to others for so many reasons. Like, skin color is one of them. Like, same with big tits, big butt, you know what I'm saying, or long hair, or short person, tall woman. Like, that's just how it is. And it's not just with one gender. Like, men are attracted to what they're attracted to. Same with women. It's not the same. It's not just that way with one race either. Like, there are white women, there are white men, there are Latinos who will only date people outside of their race. Like, it's what you see in society. It's not nothing unique to black men that somehow we're the only ones that refuse to date out within our race or whatever the case may be. It's something you see all the time. So Kyrie is just one example of millions of people, I would say, that date exclusively outside of their race. We just saw a comment come across the screen. I assume it's a white person that said their brother only dates black women. And I've met white boys like that. They love them some chocolate, and they only date black women. So I think it's an
Fetishes
unfair
are a real
assessment.
thing. Yeah.
I think it's an
I have a
unfair
question for
assessment
you
to just
too.
demonize Kyrie Irving like that.
So
Yeah,
let me ask you a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sonny.
I was gonna just say, like, is it because he's successful? Because what about all the other, average Joe black men that don't make millions per year that love you just for how you look? Why is his opinion so important? That's what I wanted to ask.
That was just an example. It's not just because he's successful.
Okay.
But like where I work in a hospital, and there's a lot of black men who like hang around and associate with a lot of white women, and it's like, okay, I mean, this is everywhere. It's like, damn, like let me see. I want to see a black man walking with a black girl. Like you don't see that often. I mean, the world is becoming so mixed. The United States is becoming so mixed, but it's like Jesus. Like you get so excited when I'm like, oh, that's a black family. Those are black kids. There's a lot of mixed kids.
Would you consider dating a white man?
I've dated a white man. I've dated Spanish man. I've dated an Indian guy. I don't have a preference. I'm sure somebody asked me.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Is just preferences, right? Like you're looking for the right guy or Mr. Right, and that doesn't require a certain skin tone or ethnicity or background, right? You're looking for a set of characteristics, an individual who has morals and standards.
Absolutely, who respects me and who treats me right. Doesn't matter. As long as you treat me right, we're good.
So I would apply that same logic across the board. I don't think you have to look hard to see that, that may be just what Kyrie Irving is saying. And I get that, he's somebody in the community that you can point to that's got some status and that kind of stuff but I will just say that it does sound like it's a very personal gripe on that level. Nothing against it. You can have that gripe. I just would question whether or not you're looking at it through the same lens because he has status or not.
No, I don't care about his status. Like LeBron James, I'm happy he's with a black woman. Like Russell Wilson, he dated all white.
Would you be happy with him if he was with a white woman also? Because what if he had a really successful marriage with a white woman? Would you also be happy that he's able to show good fatherly instincts, how to have a strong marriage, survive through time, grow love? Because that's where I guess I break down on this a little bit. Is I hear kind of this gripe of like date my own, and I just don't see how that makes a lot of practical sense.
Would you date outside your race, or have you?
I actually have, yeah. So like my very first serious girlfriend, she was Persian.
But she looks white, right?
No.
No.
Not at all. She looked Arabic. Very Arabic.
What's their skin color? This fair, right?
They're like,
no.
I would say
again, very Arabic. She was dark.
Yeah. Like Mexican, I would say they're brown.
Yeah.
It's like just because he's not a black person that he dated outside his race. Like race is not just in skin colors. But a lot of it has to do with, like, I would say even for Kyrie's instance, like sometimes you want something exotic, like. It's exotic. You grew up around black women your entire life, and like I've never seen that type of person. I wonder what's that like. And so it would be hard.
Very simple.
You'll be hard pressed to find a male, just a male in general, who didn't grow up fantasizing about something exotic, like an exotic woman. Like it's just.
I'll give you a very simple analogy here, which is many of the women in my family are blonde. I do not want to date or marry a blonde woman. Like It's nothing against, like, I find blonde women attractive. That wasn't my preference. My wife has curly dark hair, right? So I like something different than what I grew up around. To DC's point, it's not bad. It's just a preferential difference.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many Asians do you see or know that's not with an Asian, or Indians
Asian
not
women,
with Indians?
Asian women dates. I see so many Asian and black couples.
Yeah,
Asian
that's for
women.
me. That's
If
non
you're in the
sequitur.
Navy and you travel to Asia, you will know how much they love black women.
Facts. I see so
They
many
line up
interracial.
outside of the boat to talk to
In
black
fact, my neighbors, he's a black man and she's Asian. She's a Japanese national.
Yes.
Just like he said, you bring up the military, they marry Asian women
all the time. My cousin brought an Asian woman from overseas. Like,
but what is it about that Asian woman that he was so attracted to?
She was nice.
He probably talked to her and he just liked her. Like, she's a human being. Like, and she has I'm sorry to say, she has a vagina. Like, like.
So I'll give you an example of I live in an affluent neighborhood in Southern California. Behind me on this side is a black Marine who's married to a white Marine. On this side, straight across from me, is a person that came from the Czech Republic who is married to a Thai lady. Directly across the street from me is a DOD representative who is black, married to a Mexican lady. So just in my neighborhood, my direct literal neighbors, the amount of diversity in ethnicity in successful marriages paints an incredibly different picture than I think.
Well, how many black families are in your neighborhood?
Actually quite a few, and I live in a very affluent part of Southern California. I would say that it's probably 25 to 30% of my neighborhood is wealthy black people.
That's a black man married to a black woman.
I see. Again, I'm not.
No, you don't.
So, no, I don't. What?
I don't see.
So let me ask this:
now black men don't marry black women. Like,
I'm not hurting. Okay, we're very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
His mother's white. I am black.
Well, who are we speaking about?
My husband. He's a successful. He's a success. The guys that he never grew up in the hood. So the guys that are successful, they got money, they're chilling, they're cool. He didn't go get a white woman. He married me, a girl from the hood. So it's really about who you are and how you carry yourself. No man, whether they're black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, they don't want to be with a woman who don't know how to shut up. Or you just smart off all the time. You always got an attitude, or you got this going on, you got that going on. You mad. I need to do this for you.
Tiffany,
I need to do that for you. Yeah,
Tiffany, were you asking me how many black specific couples that I see in my neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
So so the one that I left out because I thought we were talking about different diversity of relationships. The only person that I left out is, in fact, the neighbor that lives to the left of the black DOD representative who's married to a Hispanic lady. Is two black people that are married to each other, just right next door to each other. So again, I see what you're saying in the sense that you have a personal gripe on this level, but I'm looking around me, and I got to be honest with you, I'm in, to some degree, I'm in the minority here. And I'm in a very ethnically diverse area, and also an affluent one, for that matter.
And Eric, your neighborhood and the conversation in general, what we're talking about, is a reflection of the world today. Like, it just goes to show how connected the world is. How cultures have become so accepting of other cultures. Like 100, 200 years ago, it wasn't like that. Like, it would be hard.
My neighborhood,
people who
50 years ago, you would have not seen this blend of ethnicity, of wealth,
exactly.
and so to me, that's just a testament of progress that is so blatant. It's hard to disregard
Exactly.
any sort of.
It just goes to show where we're headed as a as a global community. Like we're becoming much more in tune with each other and accepting of each other. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that should be celebrated, rather than demonized.
DC,
I
let me
also
want to
have
ask
a
you something though. Go
I
ahead.
also have a pastor in my neighborhood who's I can't speak to what religion they are. I haven't they kind of live on the other side of the neighborhood from where I'm at, like as I'm driving out the neighborhood. But I do see them going to church on Sundays, and they are dressed in traditional African garb. So I like to speak to how diverse things are. I mean, understand that what I'm looking at is what everybody talks about when they say a melting pot. So, I'll give Suni back the mic, but I just kind of wanted to add that, like, I'm not seeing the same kind of frustration within the community of each other as far as married couples go in my neighborhood. I'm not seeing that same.
DC, let me ask you a question.
What's the question?
I see that you're married. Who are you married to?
I knew that was coming. I'm married to a black woman straight from Detroit. Like, grew up exactly how I grew up. Like, she's a black woman. I've dated dark black women. Right now, my wife is light skinned. Like, and that's my preference. I prefer to be with a black woman, not anything against any other race or anything like that. I just find I find all women attractive. I think a woman is a woman, but I don't know why. It's just what I preferred. It was my preference to be with a black woman. I hope that doesn't come off too bad, but it is.
Let me you said it. You I think you said it like a few times now. You keep mentioning long hair. Well, men like long hair. My husband he's one of those men. All right. I prefer having my hair shorter. I just don't like it on my neck. I don't like feeling it. It feels like too much. But he prefers long hair because that's beauty. It's your hair. Women, like, that's something that's how you know a woman is a woman. Like, damn, she got that long, pretty hair. And black women have long, pretty hair. My hair is long by nature.
Yeah.
It's thick. It's long.
I can appreciate the amount of work it takes to keep up good hair too.
Right.
Like, it's so
here's my question to you. What's wrong with them liking long hair? Because black women have long hair.
But most black women cannot grow long hair.
I can.
Our hair does not grow like that.
I can.
Let's talk about why. Because, and I know this.
Because we're over processing our hair. Because we get relaxed. Listen, black people are only people who get relaxers. I get relaxers when I go to the salon, so my hair isn't kinky. Because black people hair is kinky. It's nappy.
That's not true. That's not true. I haven't had a perm in over 7 years. I have not had a perm in over 7 years. My hair is not kinky. It's not nappy. It's curly.
Exactly.
And it's because I take care of my hair. And I don't put all those things in it. My hair is long. If I let my hair grow the way it naturally wants to grow, my hair would be probably beyond my back, but I choose to cut it. People have seen how long my hair has gotten over the months. They're like, dang, you grew your hair out. Yeah.
My wife
we can grow our hair.
Like, her hair was short like yours. And now she's walking around. She just got her weave taken out or whatever. And she's just so proud that it's now back down to her back. Like,
but she had to wear a weave though, right? That's where we're going.
She didn't have to. Like, you should see her hair now. Like, her natural hair is long. You know what I'm saying? But I guess
it's coarse. It has to be coarse. Black people hair are coarse. Like, if you go to Africa, if you go to Ghana, if you go to Haiti, our hair is coarse.
And that's
my hair ain't coarse, bro.
Your hair is coarse. Your hair is not like thin like white people.
I'm about to now look. I could put my hands through my hair, and now I don't have a perm. This is how my hair naturally is. Naturally.
It's thick.
It's how you take care of your hair. I could put a comb through my hair at any point in the day, no matter if there's water on it. If I go swimming, I could take a comb and comb through it. You know what I have to do? I just have to blow dry my hair and my hair is back in its natural state, which is straight as heck.
So Tiffany, I'm just curious because we keep kind of going. I think we're circling the drain a little bit. What is it that is the ideal, I guess, situation for you around this? Like, what would you like? It's because I not to say you're dancing necessarily around. I think you're trying to have a conversation about it, but like, what is it that would be ideal to you that rectifies kind of? It seems like your gripe specifically with the men of the community. It sounds like. I'm just curious. Like, is that clear? Is that correct? Am I surmising that correctly?
Yes.
And also, what would you like to see changed?
I just want, and I'm talking about because I'm a black person. I'm not white. I can't speak for white people. Can't speak for Indians, Chinese. As a black
You're American.
woman,
You can speak for all of us. Sorry.
I want to see, yes, but I want to see black men. I want to see more black families. Like, it's a lot of mixed families. I want to see successful black men be with successful black women. I want to just see more of that, and
So
I want
why don't you
us
just want to
women.
see?
No, I
Why
want
don't
to
you
see
want to just see more successful families? Why isn't
because
that the
I'm
goal?
black. I like to see my people together. I like that. I don't have, listen, I'm not racist. I don't have any issues with people dating outside their race because at the end of the day, people are going to date whoever they want. But it's just good to see a lot of black families. Like, you see in the celebrities, white people, there's a lot of white men with white women and a lot of black men with white women. And it's just like, I
What's
want to
wrong
see
with
some
that?
successful black couples.
You should
There's
see my
nothing wrong
neighborhood.
with it.
I live in Atlanta. This is the hub of blackness. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This is one of the blackest cities in the country. My
Mm-hmm.
subdivision is like 99% black, and it's an upper middle class, successful people everywhere, up and down the block. Everybody's black. Everybody's married to black people. Everybody has black kids. There's black kids running around everywhere. So I don't see that this,
But that's
America.
in Atlanta.
I'm from Houston, and when I was from Houston, I drove for FedEx, and I remember going through this one neighborhood. The houses were so huge, I was just in awe. And come to find out, little did I know that it was a black neighborhood. People that were answering the door, they were black. They had black families and they had Asian housemaids. Like, that's just how it was. So I don't see this, you know, this one-sided, picture that you view that black men are somehow just abandoning black women all across the globe. Like, I
Okay,
just
so drive 12 hours south and go to Miami, and what do you see?
What's there though? There's like so many different nationalities there. There's so many different people there. And if a black woman decided to go date a white man, would you be as upset? Are you upset about all the black women that are married to white men?
that happens.
It doesn't make me upset like that. Like, I want, as long as you're happy, listen, I'm all for it. But it's just good to see
Okay,
black
that's
people
fine.
with black people.
Yeah, I
I think the
get that.
culture is just putting
Because
that
listen, I got a lot
in
of
your
stares
mind.
when I was dating a white man. Listen, we walked in the mall. This was 15 years ago. We were walking in the mall, and it was 4 black men, and I was with a white guy, and he was like, quote unquote, the ghetto white guy. He had a little hood in him, whatever. And we were holding hands in the mall, and let me tell you, those 4 black men tried to intimidate him. They were talking so much shit. One tried to grab my hand, was like, "Oh, you don't need to be with him." Like, it's intimidating because black men didn't like that, so they're gonna try to intimidate the white man. You know what I mean? So I have no issues with that. It was very awkward to me. I felt uncomfortable. That's why I was like, "Nah, this isn't for me." But
See,
that's my perspective.
this is the problem I have with much of the national dialogue is that we just group everybody together on the basis of the skin color when there is so much diversity, within individual people, within groups. Like, you can't paint all black men as the same, that they're gonna have the same preferences, they're gonna like the same things. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So we do each other a disservice when we just lump each other together on the basis of skin color. Because I know black people who date outside their race. I know black people who exclusively date inside their race. Like, that's just there. That type of diversity is there. And it does everybody a disservice to just lump everybody together. Those 4 men that you spoke about, they don't represent black men. You know what I'm saying? Like, they represent themselves. They are themselves. They're not black men. They're not all black men.
No, I'm not grouping all.
No, I'm just saying the conversation, like just the national dialogue, you know, in this topic and everywhere else, you know, it's the same thing, just lumping everybody together.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I think anything that takes us back in time, and I think that ultimately when we start arguing about what ethnicity should be allowed to date, what ethnicity at what rates, that sounds an awful lot like segregation to me. And that's an argument that I will never be able to support. And it's not that I don't understand fundamentally what you're speaking about on a different level. It's just that the practicality of that requires segregation, and I can't see how that's progress helpful. I think if you were to be saying we need to support strong families, I can support that argument. I can't support an argument that requires your ethnicity to be a qualifying factor.
Here's my challenge to you. Ask black men what they want. And when they tell you what they want, watch the response from black women. I did this to my little sister once because she's 18. I'm like, you should be thinking about what you're going to be doing with your future. If you want to get a job, you want to get married. She said, I'm not doing anything for the approval of a man. I said, then who are you going to be with when it's all said and done? Well, whoever accepts me as I am. So if men, when you ask it, if men say, I want a woman with long hair. I want a woman who doesn't wear all that makeup. I want a woman who doesn't have long ass fingernails. And he's just literally talking about a woman. Are you going to be receptive to that? If they give you those stipulations of this is the type of woman I want, because they control relationships, they control access to relationships.
But I feel that he's basically going against our culture.
What is our culture?
Okay, as like black women wear long fingernails. So when you're saying, "Oh, I don't want a woman with long fingernails. I want a woman with long hair," I think that they're saying everything else, but I don't want to date a black person.
I don't wear any of that, and I'm black. I think that's ratchet as hell.
Yeah, I don't
we
like.
Don't all wear long fingernails.
Exactly. So we both acknowledge, like, people will say that, you know, like the hood mentality, you know, sagging your pants and things like that are a part of the culture. But there are women who will not date, you know, men who sag their pants, or men with gold teeth in their mouths, or you know, stuff like that. So there are negative aspects of the culture that people will disown, like, and that's just normal.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the long nails, and like I'm gonna pull this up. Black men,
yeah,
they don't want that.
They don't want that.
So how do you get mad at them? And they're like, yo, you're walking around with a bonnet, you walk around looking extra, like you look extra dusty. Like, I don't want to be with that. You can't get mad at them. Like, I wish I could pull up a picture of Babs, because that's what a lot of black women look like now. They look like they are straight out of the comic film Babs. And that's not attractive. This is not attractive to men. Why you think she's with the same dude she's been with forever, but she really ain't happy with him because nobody else is interested in that. That is fake. Just like K. Michelle. Nobody is interested in that. Some men are, and they're superficial, but we're talking about the majority of men and what they're interested in. This ain't it. And that is not Black
Mhm.
culture. That is laziness.
That's a hot mess. Yes, and she's probably living in the hood. Unfortunately, I'm stereotyping, but that hood culture shows how you carry yourself. I don't know if you guys said this in the beginning, but how you carry yourself lets you know exactly how you're brought up or where you're living. Because
Mhm.
me, I never was in the hood. I don't live in the hood. My family is not in the hood. I would never ever go out looking like that. Ever,
Mhm.
ever.
I think that's kind of how I started this was saying, much more than people needing to make changes to themselves on a physical level, they need to do it on a mental level. And when you have mentally strong women, for every man, I mean, there's definitely I'm not gonna disavow that there's not a hit it and quit it culture. There is, and
Absolutely.
men run around doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that that's what they're looking for in marriage material is not. I don't think that's accurate. And so I started out kind of by saying specifically that if a woman carries herself properly,
Mhm.
that a lot of men will look past a fair number of physical markers that might not fit in the traditional sense of attainable or unattainable beauty. That's kind of the
Bye.
standards.
Yeah.
But I think that a majority of men, and I say men because there is a difference, men versus boys, um,
Mm-hmm.
look past physical barriers in hopes to attain successful relationships, right? Kind of back to what I was talking about before, where the standard should be to get a successful relationship to have a successful family. And one of the most rebellious things people can do right now is start a family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like becoming such an oddity. We're on track right now, like to like 500,000 less babies in the next year than we've
Yeah.
ever had. So like you have to start looking for the quality of an individual, and this goes to a merit-based conversation. To be based on the merit, there should be some physical attraction. It is an important part of the element of a relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
to put it above all other things is such a
I want to show
it's
you
such a low
something.
bar.
And we can all comment on this. She's so cute.
She's so
Babies,
cute.
when I
I
see
was
babies,
waving
it
at her
makes me miss babies.
earlier.
And then I realize how much you have to do for a baby. And I'm like, nah, B, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm going to share a photo, and this is really personal to me. But this girl came from the inner city. Okay. And I happened to meet a really nice guy. I've never been one of those just like ratchet, loud females. I've always been reserved. I've always been chill. And I've always carried myself as such. And I got married when I was 20 years old. This is how young girls dressed when I was younger. Like in the 90s, if you walked around looking like a hoochie, your mama sat you down and said, absolutely not, ma'am. Go change your clothes. At least where I grew up. And I came up in the church. If
Mm-hmm.
the neighbors saw you walking around looking like that, or somebody that went to church with you, they knew your mom, and
Yep.
they know that's not how your mom raised you. They put it
Mm-hmm.
in check.
Yep.
So we had a sense of responsibility. We knew, like, let me not do that because I might get in trouble.
Yep.
But if you fast forward, and this is 2019, okay, I want you to watch how these women are dressed. And of course, I have to let this ad run. I'm gonna mute it. This is what Black women look like now. Tell me what man, besides a man that don't have nothing going for himself, wants to be with somebody who walks around like this.
Mm-hmm.
Which would then indicate why a lot of Black men are not interested. Look at this. They're not interested. And it's because we have made them not interested. For the good Black men I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was just about to clarify that because I'm actually turned off by that. Like, yeah, there are many attractive women within the culture that's immersed in the culture, but it's a complete turnoff because you're acting like that, like you're dressing like that. That does not that does nothing for me. Like I like the mystery of a woman, you know what I'm saying? Especially my woman. Like, I that's what I'm attracted to. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know.
So
It's
two
And that
porn
questions.
picture was me
culture.
on my wedding day,
It,
by the way. That was the day I got
Very
it's
married.
nice.
porn culture.
Very nice. Now, two questions. My first question is, what's wrong with how they're dressing? What's wrong with what they have on? First question.
It's
Who are you
porn
asking?
culture.
Okay.
Anybody.
It's porn culture.
Okay.
Because they're in their bathing suits?
Half of these outfits that you see women wearing, specifically in this video, they're not bathing suits.
And I've seen people try to get on planes like that. Like, so it's picture, I mean, this video doesn't, tell the whole story. Like, this is actually out there. People dressing like that.
And this is Florida, by the way. This is South Beach.
Yeah. Now, what about on spring break when a lot of white people are? Would you feel the same way if white girls who are fat or not as thick will wear the exact same thing? Would you feel the exact same way?
Yeah. So, Tiffany, I'm going to answer a question that I think you're getting at here. Is it attractive to the eye? There's an argument to be made for sure that, like, it draws some attention, and yeah, I mean, men are very tactile in their desires. So, does it spark a desire? For sure. But would I go out with my woman looking like that? Hell no, I'd be too embarrassed in public. So, and
that's why she clarified it and said good men, because there's a level of maturity. Like, yeah, if I, that goes back to what I said about the childishness within the culture. Like, a child will indulge in everything that pleases, like everything that's pleasurable. Yeah, it may be pleasurable to look at, but that's not all there is to me. I'm more mature than just indulging in my pleasures. You know what I'm saying? That's why, I feel like, mature men have a more complex taste than women, because it's more than just the physical attraction.
See, and I'll even throw myself out there. And by the way, these are bathing suits, but they're not even at the water. Like, they're not swimming. They're not on the beach. They're not tanning. They're literally walking around. And I'm going to show you the type of black men that I think are absolutely disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I think he is gross.
Yep.
He's sagging his pants. He's got that nappy ass hair on his head. He don't look like he got nothing going on for himself. That's disgusting. He looks disgusting with those tight ass jeans on. So men feel the exact same way when they see black women out looking ratchet as shit.
Because that is unattractive. And
they're not even swimming. Where are you going? Where's the water? Where's the pool, ma'am?
So, like, my wife always wears a cover up, right, when she leaves the beach. So, like, on the beach, she's tanning, she's chilling, she's hanging out, playing in the water, playing with the baby, whatever. But, like, if we were walking around, like, for example, like, I spent a lot of time down in Newport, like a tremendous amount of time. Like, most of my weekends are spent there. Like, if we're going to go walk to the pier, or we're going to go get some ice cream or something at one of the shops or something, like, she comes accordingly. This is like people walking around.
Can you pause this? Because I want to ask a question. Like, I want you to rewind this a little bit. Sorry, I just want you to rewind to the black girl with the lime green. Right, stop, pause. Okay, once you talk, Eric, I want to talk about that.
So I just was saying, like, this is where I say it's porn culture, is because, like, this is not how people with I would say dignity and self-respect are not walking around on the street like this, because they're not looking for objectified attention. And people want to talk often about association of the way women dress and the way men act. I don't see that men should have no self. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a reason for women to be assaulted or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. But what I will say is that they're looking for the wrong type of attention, and you can clearly look and see what kind of attention they want based on what they're wearing, right?
Okay. Now this is for the two men on the show. The girl that's in the lime green, is she attractive? She has a cover up.
Where?
The lime green, that's her cover up.
Well, me being from the same places that all these women are from. Like, I'm not attracted to hood women. Yeah, my wife is from the hood, but she's not hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's a turn off for me automatically. Like, if you seem to be hood, or if you talk like you hood, you're loud and all that type of stuff. I'm automatically gonna be turned off. So I can't really judge from this position, like, who she is or what type of girl she is. But the fact that she's in that setting kind of tells a lot.
So I'll answer the question. Say I have no knowledge about her other than what her clothes are. I can't make a judgment on whether she's an attractive person or not. From a physical aspect, she's probably not going to be somebody that is somebody that I'm going to approach in an open and public space. But again, you said she's wearing a cover up. I would argue that she's wearing fishnets over this might be a bathing suit. This one, she's not wearing like a cover up, like she threw over herself. That's kind of like a poncho, right? Like, that's when I say cover up, that's kind of what I was alluding to, right? Something you could, like, if you're in a beach town, you could walk into the grocery store and feel like you're not totally out of the right place, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
that's kind of what I mean.
cover-ups aren't just something that goes over your head and covers up. Like, I have shorts cover-ups like that. I have pants. I have the
Sure.
full thing. So those are still considered cover-ups.
Yeah. So
What's the
I'm saying I can't qualify her as attractive because I don't know her. That is, I'll just leave it there.
what is a trend that you see with all these women? What's one thing you noticed about them all?
They're black and they're in bathing suits.
They look ratchet.
And they all have hair that is not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I know many black girls that have naturally long hair like this. A lot of my friends do. A lot of my family members do. DC's wife. You're wearing hair. This right here is the Eurocentric black woman.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to look like yourself. You want to look like a white woman because you feel like the white woman you feel like it's the standard, it's the cap.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of black women feel that way.
Yep.
And it has nothing to do with the man. It's because you are competing with somebody that you shouldn't be competing with. You know how I feel? You can't touch me. Nobody in this chat can touch me. You know why? Because I'm confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
My man is right there. If you walked up to him and Kim Kardashian walked up to him today, it ain't happening. Period.
Yeah, I'm not too down on like the hair thing, because I understand, like, I grew up around a lot of black women. Like, all of my family was, black women, and I know the hair issue is what it is. Like, so I'm not I don't that's not really a big deal to me. It's all about how you carry yourself. As long as you carry yourself, if you got weave in your head, that's fine. But if you carrying yourself as one of those type of women, then you're gonna be looked at as one of those type of women, and it perpetuates a stereotype, and that's what they don't get. What I'm saying? They want to complain about, oh, people look at us this way, or people think this about us. Well, where are they getting it from? They're getting it from the music that you condone, the movies, the TV, and the entertainment that you condone, and also the way you carry yourselves in the street. So that's the main thing to me.
And look, this lady right here, I think she looks completely fine. She looks cute. So does her friend. This one right here, you look ratchet. Him, he looks a hot ass mess. Pull your pants up. Don't nobody want to see your
The girl to the
drawers.
far right also is wearing what I would
Yeah, she
consider
looks
to be
cute.
kind of like an appropriate attire for
She looks cute.
again, these are my personal moral standards for what I'm looking for. So they don't have to check everybody's boxes, but I would say, again, quality of the people is much more important than their
Look,
What
personal
about this
look.
white girl
Like,
coming up? What about that
see,
white girl?
I knew you was gonna go there. You have I think it's something personal with you and white people. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I could be completely wrong. But I think you have a personal dislike towards white people because without you saying that, I was going to be like, look, this white girl, she looks ratchet.
And I talk about that all the time. Like black people live their entire lives completely concerned about white people. Like our entire existence is predicated on what white people are doing and comparing ourselves to white people. That's what the whole civil rights movement was about. Oh, well, they're there, so we got to be doing that too. Instead of being worrying about our own community, becoming industrial and building ourselves up as Booker T. Washington wanted us to do. And it's another form of enslavement. We can't even criticize ourselves or critique ourselves without comparing ourselves to white people.
And that's why and that's why I challenged you earlier on the mindset of trying to kind of segregate relationships. Is it really doesn't solve the problem I think you're trying to hit at, which is you want good quality options for yourself. That's going to require you looking in the right places. And I'm not sure what your criteria are, but again, I think that basic standards say that you're probably looking for somebody with an objective eye that can seek truth, that can speak truth, that probably looking for somebody who can match your intellect, somebody who can fulfill you on an emotional level, somebody who can provide for you on a financial or again an emotional level. Like those are really the contributing factors that should be like 99% of the weight of any qualifying decision. And you should be attracted to that person too. But you might find, and this is true for many people, that attraction comes when you find those qualities as well. So that's where I just really challenge the standard of does resegregating relationships solve any problems? I don't think it does.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I find funny. The black women that have a problem with black men dating white women, they also have a problem when we date somebody that's biracial. And I've had black men come up to me as well and express an issue with the fact that my husband's half white. Well, he really don't count. Or, I have a lot of black women that take up issue with my literal face, bro, my nose, my lips, my hair texture. I told you, I have been told that I have European features. You're not really black. You have European features. Where do we fit? Where can we go? Because it seems now this is just what I'm saying from my observation. Black women have an issue with everything if it's not them. If I don't look like you, if I don't act like you, if I don't think like you got an issue with me. What about my face is European? I'm chocolate as hell. Okay, I got a pointy nose. I really can't help that. My grandmother is Indian and Irish. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose any of the stuff that I just so happened to get down the gene pool. I have high cheekbones. I have a very asymmetrical face. I can't choose that.
I was gonna say you have Indian features.
But I can't why get? I just don't understand. You're mad because you're with a white woman. You're mad if a black girl don't look like what a black girl's supposed to look like. What are we supposed to do to make y'all feel better? Because I don't get it.
A lot of it is just. And I think this is the case within the larger picture, of black culture. It's just insecurities, just completely insecure about who we are, and it comes from us tearing each other down about everything, like you said, complaining about everything. Oh, you saying, oh, you look this way, or you don't look like that way. You act this way, you don't act that way. You're dating this person, you're not dating this. Like it's insecurities, and it's all coming from within the culture. So we got things within the culture ourselves that we need to deal with, but we're focusing the energy on blaming everybody else for our own insecurities. Well, they're portraying this. They want us to be like them. They want us to be white, or they want us to, all that that BS when it's really coming from a place of our own insecurities.
Yeah.
Sometimes I sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tiffany. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, yeah, I was agreeing.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, one thing occurred to me. When you came on, you had the specific issue with Kyrie Irving's statement, right, of who he wants to date. But there is a lot of powerful. Jay-Z and Beyonce are married, right? Like
Yeah.
huge, successful black couple that, in my opinion, if you're talking about epitome of success, both culturally and financially, man, they've nailed it. So I think one of the things that, and again, it's not that I take issue with you as a person. It's just some of the places where you come from really highlight the differences, and they don't take into account sometimes the things that are actually in your favor as far as an argument goes. Like I think what you said, about Kyrie is kind of off the mark if you're just looking at at the community as a whole. Like that's one individual, and you have multiple other ones that are as equally influential or of same stature at least. And Jay-Z and Beyonce, I think, kind of go beyond that measure into the stratosphere of uninhibited cool. They're so damn cool around the whole world. Like everybody knows who they are. So that's where I guess it's okay to have a gripe with somebody and have a personal frustration, but that's where I think that's you have to acknowledge it is very personal for you. It's not a reality that most people are concerned with, and that's I'll give that to you in hopes that you receive it in good faith, right?
Yeah, I just want to just see more like black couples. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's just like if you look at a football team, how many like let's just say the Cowboys. This is just an example. Out of the whole Dallas Cowboy team on the black men, how many of them are dating, are married, or have black children? Most of them are with white Latinas.
Like, why does that matter to you, though? Like, I guess that's the fundamental question: is what in what world does that make any difference to you? Like, how does that impact, or change your life in any way?
It doesn't at all. It doesn't impact it won't change my life because that's their life and I would never meet them, But I'm just saying, I personally would like to see more black families.
I think you're oversensitized to what you're being told, like that, some kind of way, we hate each other and there's not a lot of black families. That is completely not the case. I guarantee you, I put a check on it that the black men on the Dallas Cowboys, that most of them are not married to outside of the race.
Well, we can guarantee
it. There might be a few, but I guarantee you it's not most. Not nowhere near.
Who is Cam Newton married to? A white woman or a black woman?
I think he's married. I don't even know if he's married, but I think he just had a baby by a black woman.
He's had all his children by a black woman. Steve Smith, or not even Steve Smith. Let me not bring him up. There's so many. I'm not even going to go one by one. There's so many NFL players that are married to black women,
and there's so more many. It's
why
more.
do they matter though? Like, here's the question, and you have to answer it. Why does it matter to you?
It doesn't matter. That's just my personal.
So then, why do you need to see it?
Because I like to see it.
Why? Why can't they be with who they want to be with? Because that's who makes them happy.
They absolutely can, just like you and Eric.
There's a problem.
Is it that you like a level of controversy to the argument that's identifiable? Like, and it's okay. Like, I'm asking on like a personal level. Do you like to see places where you can point out and see there's a clear difference that I just don't like it? Like, is that?
Do you know how many?
Like, it's kind of like the gossip circle, and it's okay.
Do you know how many players are on the football team?
52.
There's
96, but yeah, 52 on the final roster.
Yeah, but how many of those have you seen? Because I guarantee you may have seen a couple here or there, and they might have been with white people, but that's nowhere near representative of the totality of the team. So now you got it in this picture. Oh, I seen this person with maybe 3 people, 3, 4 people at
No.
most. So how many of the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, I would just make an example of Dallas Cowboys.
Hey.
I don't follow Dallas Cowboys.
But that you're enlarging it, like you're projecting a larger picture than what's actually reality. Because I guarantee you, reality is not.
Here's reality. These are Black statistics by Black Americans. How many Black men out of our population, which is over 40 million, 85% of Black men are married to Black women. So that completely destroys what you're saying. Black women, 93% of us are married to Black men. You are looking at this big of a problem and saying, I don't see it enough. And it's because of literally what's on TV. But what is in real life? We marry each other.
It's like when somebody has a mole on their face and it just completely engulfs their entire view of or in perception of themselves. Like you see a tiny, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. That's exactly what you're doing, because that's not reality. And I don't see it.
It's
when
not
I look at my
objectively
neighborhood,
true.
I don't see it.
So you
exactly it's not objectively true what the picture that you're that I think you are looking at, and that's where right, having this kind of conversation comes in handy, is that you can say, well, shoot, now I've seen the statistics. Where is it that I see predominantly these images being portrayed? That's who you should be mad at. Like, that's, if you want to have frustration and anger towards any community, be angry at the community that only highlights the slim minority of any picture.
Exactly.
That's a media driven issue. And media doesn't stop at the news. It bleeds into the industries of music and entertainment.
Exactly.
And so, if the gripe is real, as it feels right now, which is that it feels very personal, the statistic that proves it wrong also proves that the media is showing and highlighting a predominant majority of untrue everyday lived experiences.
But I guarantee, if you check the stats in 2020, it's not going to be that high. I can probably almost guarantee it.
Why are you fighting? Why are you fighing facts, man? I really just no. Just listen to me. Just listen to me. This was 4 years ago. You think in 4 years that number is going to completely reverse and show more white spouses with Black men?
I think it's.
Are you really saying this with me?
I said it's going to be not 85%.
And if it was 80%, you would have you
would still deny it.
It's probably 75. It's getting less. Yes.
But that's still a large, huge majority, even 75%. So what's your percentage where what satisfies
100?
No, this is fine, but I just don't think it's this high. From what I see and when we're on vacation,
there's 45 million Black people. There's no way you can see even a tiny fraction of No,
I know. That's why I'm speaking for what I see. That's the only thing I can speak on.
There's no way what you can see is representative of the total picture, and those statistics prove it. So, like I said, you're making a mountain out of a molehill based on a narrow perspective. Because I guarantee you, when you go out in public, you don't see more Black interracial couples than you see Black couples. I guarantee you, it's no way. It's no way.
Yeah, listen, I was in Myrtle Beach for my birthday on Memorial Day weekend. This is, and I'm glad you guys talked about this. Me and my husband was talking, like, damn, like, we don't see a lot of married or just in relationships Black people. Like, it was just, and like Myrtle Beach is like Blacks, and it was a lot of white people with Black men.
Okay, let me ask you this: do Black women want to be married?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak. I don't know what they want.
So if a man wants to marry a Black woman and she says no, whose fault is that?
If it what?
If a black man is asking a black woman to end a marriage, and I just seen about 50 videos this past weekend where black men are getting down on their knees and a black woman is saying no in front of everybody. So if they're turning down marriage proposals and they don't want to marry black men, why should black men want to marry them?
Well, she has her reasons why she's saying no. I don't think it's because he's black. I mean, they've been together
So
for a
then
while.
why can't the same be said for a black male? You can extend grace to a woman, but you won't extend it to a man. Why?
No, he can date whoever he wants and marry whoever he wants.
But you take issue with it, and that's why we're.
Yes.
why we're.
I want to see more black families.
Well, you have to have
again,
people that are marriage ready, and black women in 2021 aren't marriage material.
So
Sorry to
white
break
and
it.
Latinos are?
And you're bringing white people into it.
Yeah, I'll encourage you to turn off the TV and look for those examples in your community because they exist. And some of the, to be frank, some of the strongest marriages I've ever encountered have been black couples. Like I'm not sure of this. Again, it's shooting from the hip, so I apologize if I'm wrong. But I think accompanying the statistic of how many black people are married to each other is a statistic that also shows length of marriage and divorce rates. And I think you would be shocked to find that many of the divorce rates in the black community are significantly lower by like tens of percentage points lower than in any other communities across the board. So I think one of the things you have to really do is internalize something so difficult to do, which is you're not being portrayed an accurate depiction of truth. So that's where I'll refocus your attention. Quit looking at the narrative that's being pushed. Look at who's pushing the narrative. And if they don't match what's real life and statistically factual, be mad at them, not at the interracial couple or Kyrie Irving or the next status and influential person that doesn't meet your standard. We have to work off of the truth. And so I just want to point that out because I do know that statistically speaking, it is a relatively lower percentage rate of divorce in the black community than it is in almost, like I said, in almost any other community.
What do you see when you look at this stat chart? Okay, it has never married and then married. And then it has a breakdown between men and women. So more men are marrying than women. There are more women that have never been married. There are more black men that have never been married. So if you're looking at these numbers, why aren't more black women married?
That's a good question.
They can't marry themselves. They're going to marry the woman that wants to be with them. You got black women that talk so much shit about black men, and I've seen it. I grew up with it. To the point where they're completely turned off with you, and then it's their fault. No, it's yours, bro. You're not nice. Your attitude sucks. You don't care about anybody else but yourself, and then you expect a guy to want to be with you when you're doing all that. How does that even sound like a healthy marriage or a happy relationship? And why do you want people to go through that just for the sake of you seeing two people together just because they're black?
Yeah.
Just think about it.
So Tiffany, like kind of after all we've talked about tonight, where do you fall now that you have the stats, you have some personal opinions? Where do you fall?
Right where I started. I get what you guys are saying, and it's just my personal opinion. It's not like, listen, if you want to be gay, if you want to marry a man transgender, cool, that's on you. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. It's just, it will be nice to see what you guys said, stats. So I just want to walk down the block and see a black family, more black families, or walk in the mall, and see that.
Can I challenge you to come back to us like in 2 weeks? And instead of watching CNN these next 2 weeks, instead you're going out and you're hanging in the community and you're looking.
I go go to Newport Beach all the time, not like several times a year. You go to Newport Beach, right?
All the time. I spend most of my weekends down there. Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna run into you, and I'm gonna be like, "Show me."
Dude, I would love that. I'll encourage you to, again, turn off the TV and the media and look for the examples in your real life so that you can, because objectively facts are not lying to you. And so if you're still at the same place based on a new set of facts, then the process of your thoughts is where there becomes I'm not questioning whether they're valid or not. I'm just saying you have to take a look in the mirror and say, well, if I'm at this exact same place, but the things that foundationally helped me draw this conclusion are completely different and contrary to what I believed they were,
I'm
then
about
are
to
you
ask you a question.
actually an open-minded person?
Yeah, so it's 85%, 75, 85% of black marriages. I want to see that.
Is your husband black or white?
He's black.
Okay, because I was about to air
You
you out.
have an example.
There you go.
You have
three people on here.
Wait,
that
what?
have black spouses. Said you have three people. It's 3 black folks on here with black spouses.
I'm the only one that doesn't have a black spouse.
I don't know, man. Stats don't lie.
And our neighborhood, our whole block, you can walk up the whole neighborhood. This is a big subdivision, and we live in the back. The entire neighborhood, black families everywhere. There's black kids all over this place, like all everywhere. Like I just don't see it. I don't see it. I do see interracial couples, and I'm happy to see that society has come to accept that. I think it's a beautiful thing. But, however, black families exist and they're thrive. Well, at least black
in my neighborhood, they are absolutely thriving, DC, and I want to make that clear. I live in a very affluent portion of Southern California, and they are thriving, doing well, and there is nothing but happiness from all sides on that. So it's around and it's attainable. These people, I think, are making just different decisions than I think what people are on the news predominantly being seen every day. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knows it's happening right now. Good examples.
All right. I'll be looking. And I like this person, Rose. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be looking, not just for interracial. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be looking for Chinese and Chinese, Indian. I'm going to be looking. And then I'm going to see how many interracial couples in that mix. In 2 weeks, I'm going to come with a tally.
I'm going to continue to not look at race, but you do you, Tiffany.
Hey, look, we're going to end with this because your mentality is the same mentality that K Michelle has about men. She thinks all men are bad because she deals with hood niggas, and that ain't nobody's fault but hers. I don't know any good men, but my dad is a good man. That's just like you. I don't never see black couples, but I'm married to a black man. 2 other people here have black spouses, but listen to her.
I think that's God. You can't help it.
Can y'all hear it?
God gonna have to come and sit and talk to me. But as far as like dating or try, every day I'm gonna see a woman when I come out of here, and she's gonna cry, or she's gonna say, "Let me tell you what happened to me." So if you are confronted, God gave you and talking to him for some reason. So if every day you're approached like this. How am I supposed to be like, oh, it's good men? Because I don't know them. I haven't met them other than my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? And my father, I don't know those other men.
Are you in a relationship now, though?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship now. And he has his ways with him. And I'm very cold. I'm very, I'm very like
a wall up.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that.
What does he say about that?
Oh, he just tries to, I think, kind of ignore it, or he knows it's an issue because imagine sitting there while I write these songs. And he knows my content. Like I always say, I can't date you unless I can write a song about you.
Period.
All right. So you heard her depiction of black men and what she thinks about men in general. Now, and you heard how she deals with her guy. What man wants to deal with that? She speaks for so many women in the black community. This is why they don't want to be with you. This is why. I'm being so honest. Ask the black men here. This is why they don't want to be with y'all. And this is why they do go to Latinos and white women and Asian and any other race that's going to actually be cooperative.
Like I say, I delineate between people, because I grew up in the black community, so I know the type of black woman I will date and the type that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Like my wife is from Detroit, like I said. I'm talking about shooting Detroit. But she's not that type of girl. You know what I'm saying? But there are women, I'm sure there's women who grew up in her school that she talks about all the time. I would not touch because they're that type of woman.
Now, let me ask you a question. Now, is it the black women that you won't date? Is it because of her personality, her strong personality? Because overall, black women have strong personalities.
My wife is strong. She has a strong personality. That's having a strong personality is completely different than being ratchet, being loud, having an attitude, being combative, being ornery. Exactly, not knowing how to communicate, conflict resolution. Like there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? You can have a strong personality. My wife is the strongest woman I know. The things she's been through and she deals with on a day-to-day basis. But she's not that type of woman. And that's why I'm with her. And I find beauty in that. I find beauty in women who carry themselves well. I don't care what you look like. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. I'm not attracted to physical features first. There are women who carry themselves like Monique. She's bigger, a bigger woman, but I think the way she speaks to the community and things like that, I think that's beautiful. I think that's lovely.
Now, are you intimidated by a black woman who is independent, who makes more money than you? Would that be?
My wife makes more money than me. She makes more money than me, but it's my money. Like it's going into the same account,
right?
Taking care of the same kids, the same bills. I'm not intimidated. I encourage her.
Do you care? Do you care, DC? Do you care? Do you care? If she made less than you, would you give a fuck? If she made more than you, would you give a crap?
He does make more than me.
And you don't care?
I don't care. Whatever level she's able to obtain, I want to push her there. If that's more than me, then that's fine. It's going to the same household. I'm still going to take care of the household. I'm still going to protect the household. I'm still going to play my role as a man. I'm still going to get up off my ass and work hard at that. So it is what it is. I'm not intimidated. I'm not insecure. I know who I am as a man. I know my role in this family. I know where we're trying to lead our kids to and what type of kids I want to raise. I know I'm secure in that.
Okay.
It's literally attitude. Men don't want to deal with an attitude. That's what it comes down to. I see what you're doing. You're trying to add outliers, modifiers. What about this one? What about that woman? She could be everything that you're saying. And if she had the best attitude in the world and she understood what your role is as a wife, I'm sure a man would not have any problem settling down. But that is not what women put out. I just gave you an example of a black woman who dogs black men and it applies that. Whatever issue she applies it to all men. I ain't never seen one except for my dad and my grandpa. but I like dating hood dudes. Does that? I don't even understand how any of that made sense to her. Like when she was saying it.
And she's still stuck on J.R. Smith.
My wife just made a good point. She was saying that that's with any relationship. You don't want to be with, certain types of people, friendships, co-workers, whatever it is. Like there's people you don't want to associate yourself with. Like you don't want to be friends with somebody who's messy, who's gonna, be trying to go out and have a good time, and they fighting and pulling you in the mess. Like, that's within any relationship.
Especially when you get older, you do not want that.
Exactly. And that's that level of maturity that I was talking about. That childishness within the culture that we don't talk about. Black men.
I'm married to a very strong woman as well. So I always struggle because sometimes this conversation comes up about gender wage gaps.
Oh hell no. We ain't even going
I don't see it. I can tell you right now, it just doesn't exist in my world. But
I'm gonna be on here for 10 more minutes because I see people asking to come on. I know I normally open it up earlier. 10 more minutes because everybody has a life, and so do I. I don't want to be on here talking to y'all forever.
So I'll just end with this, Tiffany. Is I think men are looking for strong women that they can support, that we can work with in tandem as equals. There are certain things that we want to lead on, and there are certain things that we want our women to take the lead on, and they are different things. And so again, I'll just speak to the quality of a person should be the metric that matters most. Sexual attraction is highly important, so don't get it twisted. I think that's an equation that needs to be considered. But I'll just revert to what I said before, which is I can't support anything that rolls back at this point now hundreds of years worth of progress so that people can have discerning tastes. So I'm going to always support people being able to have their specific freedom of ideology. And if they want to be of somebody because of the way they look, that's their choice. I would just challenge that person saying, probably not going to have a very deep relationship if it's always based on that one standard.
Hello, Mr. Research. How you doing? Welcome to the stream.
Thank you very much. I know you're here for a short time. Let me try to help Tiffany in this respect. So Tiffany, back when everything was very black and there was lots of images that you wanted, you unfortunately had some black people speak against it. So a person like you needed to come out and stop that if you wanted to continue to see those images. A second thing that's current is what the panel has said to you. Dating is not the same thing as marriages. Marriages are the epitome of your dedication to this individual. So a lot of times you're out visually seeing people who are trying somebody out for a couple of weeks. That is not a marriage certificate. All right. The other thing is that they made the point to you about the census and the Department of Justice numbers that the host put up. That has doubled since 2008. It was actually half of that in 2008. So you got to understand that the solution you want, respectfully, you have to fight for that in imaging, commercials, that type of stuff. Because when we did have it, there were some people who spoke against it because they had one successful relationship that was multicultural. And all these things are not destined to be forever. Here's my last point and solution, Tiffany. You got to understand some of the things that you've said thus far appears to be talking points from other groups. Let me put it that way. And as they have explained to you, there's no documented proof towards some of your phrasing. And it sounds like you have been absorbed in phrasing from particular groups that you may like, or you may feel like the Black woman is in a more dire situation based on things you've heard. there's no documented proof to majority of that.
Exactly.
So you know, you gotta actually be the solution that you're trying to have. I am, as an established black man, I prefer dark-skinned women. I prefer women with low voices. But guess what? I'm hated for that by black women. They'll jump on me. No, you don't. No, because they're indoctrinated too. But I don't have you going to them and say, "Why are you attacking the brother? You see, there's nobody like you going to them and holding them accountable because grandma's dead, and Big Mama is not allowed to talk to them no more. So you gotta, I mean, you gotta be the solution because you just can't send me out there and me and DC out there to get slaughtered. It's not gonna happen.
Facts. Now you got to talk longer now.
Yeah,
Mr. Research with the facts over here.
He just dropped a bomb, man. I really look. I like what you said. Seriously, we definitely need more black women to stand up and say, leave them alone. Like, they do want you. You can't keep. No, you don't. Yes, they do.
I appreciate what you said because it's a great summarization of the short and long of this conversation, right? It really puts in perspective and the immediacy of if you're given new facts and it doesn't match the narrative, do you have to challenge the narrative or do you start challenging the facts again? We have to start challenging the narrative with the facts instead of challenging the facts with the narrative.
exactly.
I do understand why people get upset at these things because, you know, the way I explain it to people that I interact with, we don't have a quote unquote, I understand we have the American flag, but we don't have a ancestral flag. Like for those people who are American, but they're /Irish. Okay, if America fall today, even though they don't speak a lick of Irish dialect, they can go to their grandmother's land and say, "My name is Hitachi," and everybody's, "Oh, you know, they just get love on GP." So I understand we don't have that. Also, the way some UK people have, but what I'm trying to tell people is a lot of things are very self-inflicting that we do, to the point where even the success stories that we could have, like I'm from the hood, I'm in corporate now, but the success stories we could have, we hate Calvin from McDonald's, the fact that he made it to the assistant manager program. Yes. We hate it. And we brothers, we might tease Calvin, but the sisters are like demonstrative toward that dude.
Yep.
You a loser. Wait a minute. He's the assistant manager at 16, making like 10 G's part-time. What are you talking about? Oh, no, he ain't nothing. So when we got that compared to maybe our Jewish or Latin brother who is celebrated for being the assistant manager at Burger King, you know, Tiffany got to go out there with her megaphone and say, "Sister, stop. I want to see black people together. Y'all stop." Mm-hmm. Because if we say something, me and DC are going to be up there on the cross, you know, just for saying treat us fair.
Hey, look, black conservative women get it bad too. I'm starting to get it just as bad as I used to see men get it. If you speak on black women and it's not in support of them, oh, they're visceral. They're visceral. I had a woman literally tell me, "You hate yourself." I'm like, what? Like, where do you get that from? Like, where? Do we want to be held accountable or do we just want to be the perpetual victims? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Well, there is a thing of held accountable, but I think that, like, I've been a conservative since Eazy-E went into the White House. So, but I'm a very black first type of conservative. Mm-hmm. I'm not anti. So I say that to say this, that sometimes when you have ladies who have said those type of things to you, it's from the standpoint of, well, we're in power and we get to get this and we get to get that, and you going against that threatens that. And you got to understand that's just like the white guys from the 1700s. When you had a baby, you had to give the baby over at 12 years old to the dad, no matter how rotten he was. You know, laws are laws. So the reason they're probably coming at you like that is because they're looking at it from the standpoint of, you're going to make us be regular. We're not going to be able to use this card we've been using since 1985.
For sure.
That's interesting.
I say that all the time. You're afraid to lose your black card. How many times have I said that? You're afraid. And you know what? Right. And you know what? I can understand it because I came from it. I really did. So I definitely get it. But it bothers me. I'm not going to lie and say that, like, what we all go through, just telling the truth, it bothers me, man, because I don't understand it. It actually hurts me. It hurts me to see people buck up against just truth. You're just ready to fight. You're ready to fight for your own demise. And I'm literally watching it happen. That hurts me. I don't internalize it, but when I look at the collective and I see, you know, a good 50% a portion of our community just don't give a crap about themselves.
And you said it right. Like, we're watching it. Like, before I ever even became a conservative, start paying attention to politics and social issues or whatever, I distinctly remember thinking one day, this was years ago, like, when did women start calling each other bitches and it was okay? Yes. Like, growing up, that was fighting words. Like, y'all would be squabbling over that. And now it's just cool and fun, and they just use it so loosely, just calling each other bitches. Like, I remember thinking that one day. We're watching it happen.
I'll take you back to a time when I was a little kid. People were calling each other kings and queens before we even saw any African people. Okay, so I saw blackness everywhere during the Afro days. I was a little kid. And what started a lot of the demise from what I saw in California was the invention of the word DAWG.
Dog.
Nobody was called a DAWG. That was disrespectful. That was fighting words.
Man, Mr. Research, you're right up my alley. I talk about words all the time. This is so important. Like, the 80s, you're talking about almost 40 years ago. And to your point, right? Like, that word has consequence now. Like, we all say it, we all use it. I think it's in very casual terms now. But the way you're speaking about it is in context to history, which I don't know that it was intentionally derogatory. I don't know the history around it like to that end. So I can't speak specifically on it, but from the way you're putting it, it sounds like, hey, this came from a place where, right, we were referring to ourselves as less than human. At what point does that, right? So I'm going to ask a question. I apologize. I don't mean to throw you off topic, but you know, I'm kind of the stranger in the room here, so to speak, right? I'm the only, you know, not black person on the panel here tonight. So when I speak on these things, is it cumbersome to you? Is it frustrating? Is it like, hey, I get that, it makes sense? Like, where do you guys all fall on that? And I'll ask that as a general question to everybody on here tonight, Tiffany, you included as well. I'm interested to know, because I advocate very strongly for that family element and those things. So as we're talking, I'm very curious where my voice lands in this conversation.
I'll speak first to that. Like, I say it all the time, like, because I see white people, they ask me all the time, or they say all the time, I can't speak on that because I'm white, or can I speak on that because I'm white? And my thing is, like, I tell black people all the time, other people are not stupid. They're not blind. They see exactly what's going on in the culture. They see exactly what's going on in the community. And not only that, I believe in the Bible. I believe there's nothing new under the sun. A lot of things that's going on within the black community, it's happened already to other communities. So not only do they see what's going on with us, they see what's going on went on with other communities and how it affected them. So if we're a part of this country, this nation, and what happens with our community affects this nation, then yeah, I say speak on it. Like, it's freedom of speech is for a reason. It's so voices can be heard. Voices won't be silenced on the basis of their skin color, because it affects you. And we see that with the Black Lives Matter riots and all the racial division that's going on right now. It affects you. So speak on it.
So what's the difference? That's just like this when women started calling your homegirl a bitch. Oh, that's my bitch. So that's just like, since we're mostly black, the difference between nigga, that's my nigga, or nigger. That's we made it. When I talk about we, the black culture made it somewhat positive, because you'd be like, oh, what up, my nigga? That's my nigga right there. But it's not
Very,
okay
very
for
true.
Eric to say that.
No, it's not positive, because I've been targeted before. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't been, had niggas try, I mean, folks try to jump me just walking home from school. Like, and what they say, oh, get that nigga, oh, jump that nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen it used in derogatory terms. So we try to paint this pretty picture about it, but it's not what we're saying it is.
But they don't say the ER. The ER was disrespectful.
Let me
All of it
let me
is.
let me be helpful real quick. Let me be helpful. So me being from the hood, sold dope, shotguns, whole nine. Okay. So I'm just giving the qualifications of knowing this hood speak. So all of you guys are correct, including Tiffany. What happens is from state to state, it's the tone in which you use it. What happened in the 70s, nobody was saying it, black or white, and you got cut or hurt behind saying it. But there was a hip hop summit, and they said, let's start embracing the word to take power away from those who are trying to make us feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sometimes in 2021, when you'll hear a non-black person use that term, you may say something, oh, that sounds like what your wife was calling me, which hurts him to his core. So these things are in the tonality. It's not about the R anymore. Maybe that's how it was early, before the invention of the internet, but it's not so much that. And if I can just go back to this dog analogy real quick. So before we were using dog, our women start calling us dogs. Now, mind you, we're calling each other kings and queens. But then they start making terms,
right?
Huh?
Or brother, right?
Or brothers,
like
sisters,
terms of
a lot
endearment,
of
right?
sisters. Yeah. So this is the invention of Atomic Dog, George Clinton dog catcher. That's how the song came about. The term "you dog" was said so much in urban culture that the guy made a song about it. And then that's when the endearment of calling each other "what's up, dog" came into play, similar to how women now use the B word because they kept hearing it so much after the 1986 rap song said what it said. Mind you, there was no derogatory things in rap prior to 1986 toward women. Prince was the only one who had anything derogatory to say, and a couple of rock and roll songs like Guns N' Roses. Other than that, nobody was really saying anything. My whole point in saying that, Tiffany, and to the panel is that now it's like, to DC's point, it's how you mean it and how you saying it, the tonality of things. And we only did it because we kept getting so much of it from the non-melanated people. We had to strategically come up with something to deflate their need to do it. The same thing when we would have a white friend, and they would try to shame the white friend and call him a wigger. Same thing.
Yep.
You know, you had people attacking people just because they love blackness. So
And
I'm
that
gonna stop
just goes
talking.
back
I'm
to
talking too much.
my point about how black people are so concerned with what white people are doing. Oh, they using derogatory. Oh, let's take it in and turn it into something else. No, that's not the attitude you should have, because look what it's done. Because words matter. You start calling each other niggas and trying to make it a friendly term. Well, you're gonna have people starting to act like niggas, and now we got a bunch of people starting to act like niggas. And now I think it should be used as what it is. Like, it should be used to demean people who act that way, and it should be, we should make it to where people don't even want to associate themselves with that word, because that's what a lot of these people are acting like. They're acting like niggas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a black man. I'm not a nigga. Don't call me a nigga. Like, don't call me a
the
nigger or a nigga. Like, because I don't act like. What?
The only thing I will say to that, because I lived overseas for 4 years, non-military, just actually lived over there, and studying Franks and Celtics and Germanic behavior, I will say this to you, DC. You can remove that, and now you'll be confronted with Kang. So you'll always have some. No, I'm very serious, because that's the strategic thing. You'll always be confronted with something. So I will agree with you. That may not have been the correct approach, but that's, sitting from the quarterback's chair, not actually in the game. So if we remove it and they come with Kang, and your little son and daughter feels violated, now you're back to frustration and physicality. So you got to come with something.
I think that came about, or that is what it is. This is how I always thought about, when I hear people say Kang, because we're sitting here calling each other kings and queens, but we ain't acting nowhere near it. Like, our community is not full of kings and queens. It's full of a bunch of niggas. Like, you trying to sit here and call yourself king, queen, but look how you're acting. You're not acting, like royalty. So it should be mocked. You should be, look like, made to look like a buffoon, sitting there calling yourself a king, but you aborting your baby, by the thousands. Y'all out here fighting in the street, shooting up the neighborhood. That's not kingly. That's not queenly. So it should be mocked.
So here's always the pushback with this. And let me ask you this, D. There's no right or wrong answer. Mm-hmm. Is that only for this one particular group? Because when other groups do the exact same thing, one of us in conservative circles say, we should just take it. We should just take it, and we should be above it. Who cares what they say? And then when those groups do the exact same thing in a different format, he's a Celtic warrior, but he's not acting like a warrior. He's do we come out and say something then, or is our rebuttals only for the Black community? Because sometimes that's what it appears.
I mean, maybe I misunderstand the question, but I don't see other groups going around, hyping themselves up as this one thing, like you said, Celtic warrior and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that. I only see that type of narcissism within the Black community. You know what I'm saying?
So I'll speak on that a little bit. Like, my mom has done a tremendous amount of family history. And because some of my bloodlines run in the king lines in Europe, specifically through the Nordic countries, we are actually able to trace my familial history back to Thor Ragnarok, right? So they did the history documentary or show that is out there. My lineage actually flows from Ragnarok through Ivan the Terrible, and then through a bunch of king lines through the Nordic countries. I've never in my life ever, I mean, jokingly, I think I've said one time, like, I'm a king because I've got king's blood. But there's no, like, I don't have any elevation of that culture. I didn't grow up with any sort of like, oh, well, we've got 5 different kings in my bloodline, so therefore we're royal blood. I mean, I've always known it as a historical fact, right? But it's nothing that I can point to and say, oh, there's some sort of like claim to power or throne or elevation of ethnic status or anything like that. So I'll just challenge you a little bit on that and say I don't see that. I haven't seen it. And I think if anybody was going to make that claim, it would be somebody who's got kind of that heritage in their background. But again, I'm one person of about 9,000 people that have this very similar lineage, so I'm not the only one. And I know I don't speak for everybody, but I just would challenge back on that and say, I don't see that cultural appropriation of words in really many communities at all. I think one community that I have seen do it is kind of the Indian community with the word Punjab, right? And I think Punjabi was kind of right, was a poke fun at people, although it's a technically grammatically correct way to say how their language that they speak. It's not. It became an ethnic slur, and they're the only other group that I can think of that have reappropriated that word to mean something different than what it, the slur that it was to begin with.
You muted. Go ahead.
And I'm very glad that you said that, because sometimes we talk in an American-only concept. So when we say that we don't see a certain thing, we're looking at it from an American-only concept. I lived in Romania, France, England, and Negril. I at one time was very good with Gujarati, which is one of the Indian dialects. You would be fascinated at all the complexities that mirror Black people. The only difference is, to DC's point, it is not the imaging, and also Tiffany's point, the imaging is not up in your face. It's really behind closed doors. But some of these same conversations, Chinese, the Hong Kong people have such a dislike for the mountain people, and everybody hates the boat people. And they actually look at the curvature of their noses to find their level of racism. So there's a lot of complexities, but sure. Shout out to that, man. Go ahead, anybody. I'm finna send some money. Go ahead.
I don't know. Like, these conversations are interesting to have, and it's definitely thought provoking. I think we should all just verse ourselves with different cultures and what's going on where. But at the end of the day, we have to deal with what's at home, and what's at home right now is a lot of foolishness. And it just is. And it sucks to have to talk about all the negativity. Every time I get on here, I'm like, yo, can y'all do something worth talking about? Because I'm tired of only talking about the conservatives. I want to look at liberals and be able to say the same thing. Like, but you're pushing nonsense, so I can't. I just can't. And addressing yourself as king and queen, me personally, I think that's just a way to make yourself feel good, because I'm simply Sunni at the end of the day. You can call me queen all you want to, but if I don't feel like a queen and I'm not acting like a queen, I'm never going to turn into a queen. Show me, and I'm just speaking on from what everybody else sees, because Tiffany's a person that what's on TV and what's on the news at times is like, that's what's real to her. And they're saying on the news, so this has got to be happening. But what's really happening? What's really happening at the core? Like, what positivity do we have to talk about with what's on TV? And if I'm wrong, tell me. What positive Black women do we have on our TVs? What positive Black men do we have on our TVs? Besides somebody that's dribbling a ball and got a mic in their hand, who else do we have to look at? It ain't there. And when you have somebody that's willing to speak out and say, yo, that's crap, man. We have a lot of different beautiful pieces of our history. Why are you constantly talking about this? Shut up. Shut up, sellout. They don't want to hear that. I don't know. I just don't understand it.
Well, that's why I go into these circles, like I came on to you guys, and I go into other circles, because I try to push a similar narrative of let people be heard. Don't shout down new information. Let the people decide which information is good and which, like I'm an Edmund Burke conservative. I'm not a Reaganite. I hate Reagan with a passion. I think personally Reagan caused most of this Black crap through his bills and laws, but that's neither here nor there. My point in even bringing it was to show that I can still be conservative. I can still be down for nationalist America. Keep it here. I can hate NAFTA, but I do need to be that well versed in these things to hold the discussion. And to what your point is, Suni, so many people have a passion to speak, but are not necessarily well versed in the discussion.
Absolutely.
And they simplify it down to emotionally saying things that they can't necessarily prove.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree
exactly
with that. 100%.
Yeah.
What, Tiffany? Do you have anything to
I
add?
appreciate that
Oh, go ahead.
summation.
Do you have anything to add, Tiffany?
No, I just really appreciate all of this. Mr. Research, you have to come on more often. I mean,
For real.
you need to come if you can. I'd love to hear you speak more.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not a person trying to be right. You know, the people will hear what they want to hear, and then they'll decide what they want to decide. At the end of the day, my whole thing is to give a different way of phrasing some of these things, and so that they can be digested. You know, strawberries versus peaches. You know, that's my whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've gone through that because I was, when I first started out, I was so sick of black folks. I'm like, man, you know. And then I think it was like a lot of people. They were like, I understand your frustration, but you draw more bees with honey. And I'm like, okay. So I just started telling my personal story. Like, look, I'm from where you're from, bro. I know what it's like, but there are ways to get around it. We don't have to suffer like this. We like absolutely don't. But there are certain things that I'm just not going to bend on because I'm big on integrity. I'm big on morals. If I'm gonna get on here and say something to you, I'm gonna live that. Period. So maybe that's where not even the disconnect, but maybe that's where people get turned off because I believe in accountability. I really do.
I can see people getting turned off with that because it's just like with religion. There's people who say stuff for the sake of group approval, but then just like the nun who recently got busted embezzling all that money for years from her parish. Okay, imagine all the people that patted her on her back in her neighborhood. Imagine all the people who, even when they found out she was accused, came to her defense. You know, even in conservative circles, I hold that accountable. Remember, we had a Russian spy in conservative circles, found out she was there, and what? You had all these Republicans running to her defense. Wait a minute. She's an actual spy. No, we must defend her. This is a liberal plot. Again, she's now 3 years back or 5 years back home, and she's reporting to Putin. I don't believe it. So there needs to be some consistency.
Man, that's a rabbit hole we could run down.
Why am I getting flack?
We could run down.
Everybody knows I'm getting flack. I'm getting so much flack on the right because I call Republicans out as well. They don't like it.
Exactly.
They don't like it. And they're no different than people on the left. And I say that all the time.
Mr. Research, I have a question.
I have an answer. I am black.
Yes. Now listen, please, because there is conversation about you in the chat. Are you married? And if you are, what color is your wife?
No, I'm not married. I had I almost got married twice. And this goes to what Suni has said. I think sometimes women don't understand how much they talk a man out of love, how they talk a man out of being hypnotized. It hurted me to leave my last fiance. It sincerely hurted me. But on the flip side, Tiffany, to answer your question further, I can't just, I'm not like other black dudes. I got legacy property. I'm working medical finance. I haven't even graduated college. I just made these things happen. I took that hood knowledge and I made it happen in the corporate world. But
Mr. Research is available and looking.
but I can't just bring anybody into this circle. And to Sony's point, the mentality of a person who comes into the circle, it is a he who finds a good wife. It is, it's just not somebody beautiful. It ain't somebody with a nice body. It could be a flat-chested, flat-booty person who might be the ideal situation, but she can't have
He
that
might have a banging spirit.
Right. She can't have that sisterhood mentality because that's not part of the team. And to DC's point earlier, Tiffany, I'm not in a situation where many women are going to say, hey, I got it better financially than Mr. Research. So now here comes another dynamic. In our community, I'm hated because I'm established. I'm hated because I'm not underneath her. You feel me? Her girlfriend is constantly telling her, just because he make money don't mean he a good man. See, all this type of stuff. And I'm at peace, man. I'm at peace. And that's part of the problem, Tiffany, is that a lot of times we're running into women who say they want love and romance, but can't even articulate what it is to Tiffany beyond a phrase. You got to be specific because this whole marriage stuff is hard. It is a sword swallowing, poison swallowing event that, if done right, you feel warm and tender. But boy, you really have to self-check yourself through these marriages. And if you got a woman who is not willing to self-check herself and swallow her pride, just like he is supposed to, then you're going to have a one of these Ronald Reagan no-fault divorces, and that's just what's going to be irreconcilable differences. So that's what's up.
Okay, because they're having a whole conversation about you in the chat.
I don't know why. I don't know. I'm an ugly dude. Forget me. Marry, get somebody.
I don't even see it. But even if they were, even if they were, bro, it's none of your business. Yeah. Who's married to who and what freaking color they are? It ain't none of your business because you don't go to bed with them at night.
It's Mateos. It's Mateos, Raphael, everybody going in on whoever that person is. So I just wanted to ask for the people.
No problem. Well, you know what? It's really about this. Anytime a well-spoken brother comes to the forefront, either I'm not from the hood, either I'm a punk, either and people don't understand. And I'm gonna talk in ghetto code. It's easy for me to go sit down for 11 months behind your nonsense. It's easy for me to do 16 behind your stupidity. I'll go to sleep on 16. So they'll hear my voice, they'll see, and they'll be like, oh, he ain't, man, let's not even go there. Let's stick to the topic. Or they'll talk about the woman thing or whatever the case may be. For those who understood the 11 and the 16, y'all really from the
hood. Man, it's all good. We need to have these conversations. I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. There's times where I can relate to Tiffany because I used to just be that. And it's simply ignorance. And ignorance is not an insult. It just means that you don't know. You're looking at one situation and applying it to the whole. And it's not number one, it's not fair. It's not accurate, and it's not the truth. I get told I'm married to a white man all the time. Your husband's got to be white. There ain't no way you talking like this and you married to a black man. Really? Okay. It just is what it is. So let's do this again. My main reason for doing this segment and doing this show is to paint a picture of Black women are fighting against their own best interests. If you want to be accepted as a Black woman, carry yourself as such. Stop taking on a Eurocentric look that is not yours. All right. A lot of us can wear our hair down our backs when taking care of it. If you're going to stick perms in it and all types of solution and everything else and dye and fry your hair, you ain't going to have none. I think it's pretty simple. Take care of yourself. And I'm gonna let other people close, but that was my when you do that, when you alter your appearance, when you change yourself, when you get plastic surgery, you're showing us and you're showing the rest of the world that you hate the fact that you're Black and you look the way you do. There's no other reason behind it besides something internal within you, and you just don't like the way you look. Go ahead, DC.
Yeah, I just want to say it goes both ways. Like it's almost like a vicious cycle, you know, men leading wrong, and then women, you know, not knowing how to follow, you know. So it goes both ways, but all I can really say is that women do, in a sense, set the standard. Because if you carry yourselves a certain way and you refuse to be with a man who carry themselves a certain way, then men won't be that way, because, you know, men want to be with women. So if you allow this type of man to permeate in our culture, then that's what we're gonna get. You know, that's what we're gonna get all the time. There's gonna be an influx of those type of men. So women got to be more mindful of the type of men they allow in their lives, how they raise their sons, you know, what type of men they raise them to be, and where they look for these men. Because if you're looking for a man and that's immersed in the culture, you know, in the hood culture and the all the dirt and the nastiness that goes on in the culture, that's what you're gonna get, and you're not gonna find a good man there 9 times out of 10. So yeah, women set the standard. Women are in control in many respects of how men carry themselves. It's just like I say it all the time in nature. Like you know, the female deer, she wants the man with the male deer with the biggest, you know, rat on his head. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the male deer aspires to be. The biggest male with the biggest rack on his head. So yeah, it's a lot of blame can go both ways, but I'm just speaking specifically to women because that's what the topic is on today. So that's pretty much what I gotta say.
Nice. What about you, Eric? What are your closing
I'll
statements?
just say, yeah, I don't know if Tiffany or Mr. Research have anything to close out on. If you guys want to touch first, that's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll just close by saying this, because I saw the stuff in the chat room. Your children are watching. As much as people want to get caught up in this tease each other, get the bag, and all these other type of mentalities, or try to hit your people with gotcha question, some of those behaviors are worse than Ku Klux Klan. At least Ku Klux Klan go away. Some people with that behavior stay in our community and keep poking the bear. You don't go away like the Klan, which makes you worse. I didn't say nothing about anybody being of an LGBT nature. I didn't say anything about anybody. I didn't say any of that. So if you want people to treat you with respect or what, let's get intellectual. Take the points that I made and present a better discussion. Take the garbage that I said and give the people a better whatever. I say this all the time. Don't complain about Al Sharpton until you make an Al Sharpton 2.0. And if you don't want to make an Al Sharpton 2.0, you need to make something. And if you don't want to make nothing, then guess what? Al Sharpton's going to stay. You cannot talk about what you don't like and not create it better, because children are watching and waiting. Meanwhile, children of other cultures, they're not waiting. They're being indoctrinated at 12. They're being helped at 13. They're being assisted at 14. Shoot, most of these boys of non-melanated culture, most, not all, they're able to walk into their mother or dad's company and work in the mailroom for the summer. With all the teasing that you're doing in the chat room, shouldn't you be creating that for your nephews and whatever? Just a suggestion. Don't hate me. That's my final thought.
Facts.
Tiffany, you got anything?
No, just saying this was an excellent show. I appreciate all the views. Mr. Research, thank you for coming on. We'll love to have you talk to Suni more, be on the show. And I'm just going to just be mindful and just look around and see what I see.
For sure. You do you. I think, we've touched on quite a bit of cultural topics tonight. Those are important to touch on. I'll kind of say again what I've reiterated, I think, a few times throughout the show. I think it's really important that we look for substance and merit. And those are the two most important factors in any relationship. So, we're talking kind of about this issue right now. And I think my advice simply would be the kind of person you want to attract into your life, right? So carry yourself with that same energy. And that's about it. So that's all I got tonight.
Thank you guys for coming on. We'll do this again. And I'll talk about another aspect of this whole situation. I'm looking at the comment section. Whoa. I'm going to play a funny video and you guys can hop off. I'm going to stick on here for a second. Thank you for everybody coming on. I don't know where you're from, bro, but what the hell? You are talking some big words that don't apply to today's society, but you got it, sis. Go
this.
off.
We need this. But this, yeah, we don't need this.
As a member of the African American community, we would like to humbly decline your offer. Since you don't want your own race, maybe the Hispanics will take you instead. So sorry, you have been declined.
Thank you for the referral on that, but the Hispanic community, we're going to have to pass on that. You could check the Asians, though.
As a representative of the Asian community, after careful consideration, unfortunately, we cannot take her. She will also be banned from ever taking out Chinese again. Though, we will offer her up to the Indians.
After a not-so-thorough examination and as a member of the Indian community, we would also like to humbly deny this offer. Maybe the Egyptians would be interested.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's no way. Gotta pass this one back to the white boys.
No.
No. Listen, carry yourself the right way, okay? Just please do that for me. And you won't have a problem attracting a man. It's that simple.
I'm in Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. Hollywood, it's getting hella weird.
Sons of Sonics.
The city of angels is devils just covered in diamonds. All of the glitter's just dust you can't trust, though it's blinding. Everything about it, something you ain't seen before. Don't get too excited, you breaking down a bolted door. They don't know this ain't the place for the broken and weak-hearted. I'm in Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. When I'm in Hollywood, I'm cavalier, just kidding. Cause all I hear about is all these other